Chapter 715. A white figure emerged from the medicine cauldron. At this moment, Lu Chen no longer looked like the evil child from before. The Lu Chen standing in front of Lu Yi and the others had exquisite facial features. He was about 1.9 meters tall and had a well-proportioned body. His short white hair fluttered in the wind. His skin was snow-white and delicate, and his white eyebrows were slanted to his temples. His face was resolute. His pair of dark red eyes made him look a little demonic with a hint of coldness. His fox tail was gone, leaving only a pair of fox ears. It seemed that Lu Yi had always been fond of this pair of ears, and had been trying her best to keep them for Lu Chen. Lu Yi and Xiao Min were stunned. At first glance, Lu Chen's current strength might not be heaven-defying, but his looks were definitely heaven-defying. Ha 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 ha. I'm finally handsome for once. Lu Chen spoiled his demeanor as the demon prince the moment he opened his mouth. With my current looks, even that brat Gufei has to admit defeat. Lu Chen was bursting with confidence. He was handsome and elegant now. Most importantly, his demonic style was full of exotic charm, and would definitely arouse people's curiosity. Boss, can you not talk? That feeling was pretty good just now. Once you talk, you collapse. Xiaomin shook her head. No matter what Lu Chen looked like, he was still the boss she was familiar with. Lu Chen felt comfortable all over. After coming to Jiutian for so long, he had transformed into strange things several times. This time, he was the closest to a human form. Although he did not look exactly like a human, according to human aesthetics, he was still handsome. Little Green, can't you take off my ears too? They don't feel domineering enough. No. Xiaomin hurriedly said. Boss, I like your furry ears. They're so cute. Lu Chen frowned slightly. He was clearly a straight man. Why did he have to be cute? Strange, Kuang. What bloodline did you inherit your current form from? How did you become so handsome all of a sudden? The apprentice asked. Louis thought for a moment and said, I think boss might have obtained the gene for albinism. Look at his white hair and eyebrows. It's like the albinism of all living creatures, but it shouldn't affect his strength. Lu Chen didn't care too much. Anyway, he was very satisfied with his new image. Now he could even travel around Jiutian in this form. Lu Chen's level was already maxed out, and there wasn't much to play with in the wild monsters nearby. Lu Chen caught 40 rare beasts, and became a member of the army. He returned to the Celestial Pinnacle sect, and exchanged for a lower world token. After returning to the Spirit Gathering Mountain in the second heaven, Lu Chen saw Ershan, 3 idiots, 8 heads, 10 tigers and other subordinates whom he had not seen for a few years. Over the years, their levels had already been maxed out, but Lu Chen didn't come to pick them up, so they just stayed here and cultivated their spiritual power. Seeing these original comrades again, Lu Chen felt a little emotional. He even thought of the 3 idiots, the 3 gnolls who died in battle. That was also the first time he felt that he couldn't protect everyone. Unfortunately, Lu Chen was in the 3rd heaven and the 4th heaven. He couldn't find a suitable place to settle the army. He didn't even have any military merits in the 3rd heaven, so he couldn't directly enter. If he randomly placed them in the wilderness of the 4th heaven, even if there were 40 high-level beasts, they still wouldn't be able to protect themselves there. There are still many people on Earth in the 2nd heaven. The number of times to clear the personal dungeon is full every day. And you can also collect attributeless soul essences. You guys should stay in the 2nd heaven for now, Lu Chen said to Ershan and Ershan. How about this? I'll raise the level of the army first, then raise the level of the personal dungeon. When there's a suitable opportunity in the future, I'll bring you guys to a higher heaven region. Lu Chen noticed that the 40 beasts were restricted to level 100 after returning to the 2nd heaven. Their strength was greatly reduced. This was probably the result of them not having a lower world token. However, Lu Chen didn't expect them to fight. His main goal was to expand the number of people in the army. Now that his army had 90 monsters, Lu Chen could raise the army to a level 7 army in one go. A new building appeared in the army. Temple of Demons? Lu Chen looked at the description of the new building strangely. This was a new building that appeared in the level 5 army. Its function was to obtain a percentage of Lu Chen's Heaven's Wrath ability. It could ignore distance and respond to Lu Chen's heaven's wrath. In the level 1 Temple of Demons, the monsters enjoyed the 10% bonus effect of Lu Chen's heaven's wrath. Now that Lu Chen's level was 2, for times the normal level, all the army members could also break through the upper limit of 24%. The level limit in the second heaven broke through 100 and reached level 124. On the other hand, when Lu Chen used Divine Might and Demonic Might, even if there wasn't a single monster in his current map, the army members in the second heaven could respond to his heaven's wrath and provide him with attributes. Damn, this is so strong. Lu Chen's eyes widened. He thought that other than the blood sacrifice shield, soul essences, and earning money wouldn't be of much use in the army. Who knew that such a function would appear? I have to level up the army properly in the future. Lu Chen exclaimed. When the army reached level 7, the Temple of Demons could also be upgraded to level 8. All the monsters in the army would enjoy the 30% bonus effect of Heaven's Wrath, and the level limit would be 172. Now they could level up here again. When the army reached level 7, an upgrade option appeared in the army warehouse. Not only did it increase the capacity of the warehouse, but it also had the ability to use the warehouse remotely. Lu Chen could directly obtain and store items from the heavens domain he was in. In other words, I don't have to come back to collect the soul essences in the future. Also, I can use the warehouse remotely. This is too convenient. Lu Chen couldn't help but think that if the army leveled up a few more times, it would be even more convenient if he could carry the army around with him. Unfortunately, this function hadn't appeared yet. Forget it, I can't ask for too much. Let's take it slow. The medicine boy had been inspecting the army's environment alone. When Lu Chen was almost done with his matters, he returned. I didn't expect there to be such a treasure land in the second heaven. Xiao Kuang, you've really picked up a treasure. Ah, what do you mean? Lu Chen asked curiously. The medicine boy explained. This is a natural spiritual source. It's extremely vast. I've never seen such a vast natural spiritual source anywhere else. Simply put, there must be some kind of powerful treasure under this mountain range. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Treasure? He was most interested in this. However, my suggestion is to not touch this treasure for the time being. Let it continue to provide spiritual energy for your army. Look at your army's spiritual source. It's still in a state of natural upgrading. Lu Chen nodded slightly. Indeed, after coming to the Spirit Condensation Mountain Range, he no longer needed to provide spiritual energy for his spiritual source. The three army's spiritual sources had all been upgraded to the peak of Stage 4. That was the result of their own upgrades. Also, how long do you have left with your mortal domain token? 3 days. There are a lot of things to do this time. Those sect tributes probably won't be of much use in the future, so I changed them to 3 days, Lu Chen replied. 3 days, the time difference is too long. The medicine boy calculated. Can you bring your army with you? No, but I can retrieve items remotely. That's good. In that case, I'll stay here. Anyway, it's very safe here. I'll open up a large herb garden here. The spiritual energy here is abundant, and it's most suitable for precious herbs to grow. Little Green, if you get any rare herbs, put them in the warehouse. I'll take them out and cultivate them. You can take them away after I'm done. That works. Of course, the spiritual energy here is endless. It's really too rare. I didn't know about it before, but now that I know, it's a waste if I don't make good use of it. The medicine boy said sadly. Chapter 7:16. Of course, it was best that the medicine boy was willing to stay. Even the humanoid monsters, such as the mountain, had limited intelligence and could only repeat Lu Chen's orders. The medicine boy was an intelligent spirit pet and could help Lu Chen manage the army. Little boy, are you sure you want to stay? Xiao Min looked at the medicine boy with some reluctance. The medicine boy touched his nose and avoided Xiao Min's gaze. He had been lonely for a long time, and now that someone was suddenly concerned about him, the medicine boy felt a little reluctant. Ahem. Well, anyway, Xiao Kuang will come and pick me up in the future. He's brainless and dares to fight even if he can't beat me. If I don't get more herbs for him, I'm afraid he'll die sooner or later. Although the medicine boy had always liked to be sharp-tongued, everyone could feel his concern for Lu Chun. He would rather stay alone, which was a sacrifice in itself. After all, what the medicine boy was most afraid of was loneliness. Lu Chun nodded. Little boy, don't worry. When I find a suitable place for the army to develop, I'll come and pick you guys up. You. Don't forget. I won't forget. Lu Chun smiled. You're so powerful. How could I forget? I'll come and pick you guys up as soon as possible. After being praised, the medicine boy immediately became proud. He shook his head and said, That's not unreasonable. After the army was upgraded, the division of labor within the army was further refined. Lu Chun gave the highest authority to the medicine boy and appointed him as the deputy commander. Not only did he command all the army members, but if Lu Chun gave him enough reputation, he could also capture monsters, expand the army, and upgrade the operation of the army. Of course, Lu Chun had always thought that the medicine boy did not have any combat ability. To capture army members, he had to enter the stage of subduing them by force. That was a one-on-one battle, and it was useless to have more people. However, Lu Chun did not expect the medicine boy to help him expand the army. It was already an unexpected gain to have the herb garden ready. 2 days later, when Lu Chun was about to leave the second level of heaven, he suddenly remembered something. There's still some time for the token. Come with me to a place to take a look, Lu Chun said. Are there any other spiritual sources in the second heaven? The errand boy was very interested. I don't know either. I don't think the place I'm going to is the spirit source. It's an interesting place. When I passed by that place before, I felt that something was wrong. I'll go check it out again. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chun brought the three of them to the Bridge of Helplessness. At the end of the Bridge of Helplessness sat an old woman, whose face was filled with confusion. It was the Mengpa who collected the toll. The river of forgetfulness, under the Bridge of Helplessness, was faintly emitting black gas. When Mengpa saw Lu Chun, she was stunned. It's you, Lu Chun smiled. You still remember me? When Mengpa smiled, the area around her face was already twisted like the roots of a tree. Of course I remember. Over the years, the number of people willing to spend hundreds of millions of gold coins to cross the Bridge of Helplessness can be counted on my 2 hands. Which heaven did you come from? 4th level. 4th level. I didn't expect you to grow so quickly, Mengpa said thoughtfully. You didn't come back to see the river of forgetfulness, did you? Lu Chun nodded. Senior Mengpa, when I first crossed the river of forgetfulness, I felt that there was something unusual here. It was as if there was something hidden below. Mengpa glanced at the river of forgetfulness and said leisurely, The red spider lily blooms on the other shore. The heartbreak grass is sorrowful and heartbroken. Before the Bridge of Helplessness, before the 3 lives stone, 3 lives are decided. Young man, the number of people who have seen me twice can be counted on 1 hand. You and I are considered to be fated. Let me remind you. You'd better not touch the thing below now. Lu Chun's brows knitted tightly. Lu Chun still couldn't guess Mengpo's identity. She could be like Qinsheng and Old Ma, from the 3rd heaven. If that was the case, her strength was far inferior to his. But she could also be like Mu Xian and the mountain people, from a higher heaven domain. With regards to Mengpo's warning, should Lu Chun listen or? Mengpa seemed to see Lu Chun's hesitation, and suddenly changed the topic. Young man, there's one more thing that I thought of. It might be related to you. Related to me? Lu Chun asked curiously. Yes, Mengpa said. You should remember the rules of my toll. 1 million gold coins. You can keep the memories of the person you care about the most. 100 million gold coins. Not only can you keep the memories, you can also increase your attributes. Lu Chun nodded. Of course he remembered such an expensive toll. When it comes to me, there are very few people who have 100 million gold coins on them. Even the juniors of the large powers of the high-level heaven domain are unable to support all of them. Lu Chun didn't doubt this point. So even if you want to keep your memories, it's an astronomical figure for many people. I don't know how long I've been here. I've seen many people, but there's a girl who left a deep impression on me. Lu Chun frowned as he listened. That girl chose to forget. Forget? Didn't Senior say that most people would choose to forget? Why did she leave a deep impression on you? Mengpa laughed. There's nothing strange about her choice, but what she said left a deep impression on me. What did she say? Mengpa repeated her words. I'm sorry, I really can't gather so much money. It's impossible for my family to give me so many gold coins, so I can only choose to forget. But if he is my destined one, he will definitely appear in my world again. He will make me remember him again. He will ride the 9-winged heavenly dragon and appear in front of me. With that, Mengpa opened her wrinkled palm. There were 2 sparkling crystals inside. Luchen was in a daze. Only he had a 9-winged heavenly dragon. He looked at the crystal in Mengpa's palm and asked, What is this? Her tears, her memories. With that, Mengpa threw the crystal into the river of forgetfulness. Young man, I can't control your feelings, but this is the first time I've heard such words. If you want to know who she is, wait until you pass the 5th layer of heaven. Only then will you be qualified to enter the river of forgetfulness. Luchen stared blankly at the crystal that sank into the water. Who is she? After a long silence, Luchen sighed. Mengpa had made it very clear this time. He had to pass the 5th layer of heaven to have the strength to enter the river of forgetfulness. Then his current strength might not be enough. Mengpa smiled and no longer looked at Luchen. She repeated those words again. The red spider lily blooms on the other shore. The heartbroken grass is sorrowful and heartbroken. Before the bridge of helplessness, before the stone of 3 lives, 3 lives. Luchen also knew that Mengpa had already made an exception by telling him so much. It was useless for him to ask any more questions. Thank you, Senior. Luchen bowed deeply to Mengpa and turned to leave. Looking at Luchen's receding figure, Mengpa's turbid eyes looked towards the horizon. Luchen, are you that girl's destined one? If so, don't let that girl wait too long. She doesn't have much time left. Chapter 717. Luchen did not know who the girl was. Mengpa did not give him any hints, but when he thought of the girl crying for him, Luchen felt a little sad. Was he the person she cared about the most? The funny thing was that he was not sure who she was. Lu Yilong Nua? Impossible, they all remembered him. Perhaps he would only know the answer after crossing the river of forgetfulness. The mortal realm token's time was almost up. Luchen sent the potion boy back to the army, looked at Big Fool and the others, and turned to leave the 2nd heaven. In front of the 4th heaven tower, a white-haired man walked towards the tower alone. The successor of Lunar Glow had not arrived yet. At this stage, only Luchen could enter the 5th heaven. Standing in front of the towering tower, although Luchen was now at the 4th heaven, when he looked up, the tower was still towering into the clouds, and he could not see the top of the tower. Just as he was about to enter the tower, a voice came from behind him. Brother Kwang! Luchen looked back and saw a woman in white standing in the distance. He did not tell anyone when he came to the tower. Shuangling actually appeared at this time. He did not know how long she had been waiting here. Shuangling, Luchen smiled at the woman in the distance. At least there was someone who came to send him off. Brother Kwang, be careful. Thousands of words were condensed into the simplest of blessings. Luchen nodded and shouted from afar. You too. After that, Luchen entered the Tong Tian Tower without looking back. The 4th heaven boss room was particularly spacious. To accommodate lunar glow and extreme yang illumination, this place must be big enough. However, at this time the room was empty. Luchen could directly pass through the room and climb the stairs to the 5th floor. In front of the huge black hole, Luchen took a deep breath. Is everyone ready? Let's go. As soon as he stepped into the black hole portal, Luchen suddenly felt dizzy. After a short moment of dizziness, when Luchen opened his eyes, he was shocked to find that he was in his own room, inside a villa on Earth. He could even see himself lying inside the gaming cockpit. This. Luchen was dumbfounded. Wasn't he going to the 5th heaven? Then what the hell is going on now? When a person saw himself lying in front of himself, the feeling was truly horrifying. Even though Luchen had been through hundreds of battles, he was still frightened. I'm not dead, am I? At this moment, a system notification appeared. Seeing the system notification, Lu Chen finally let out a sigh of relief. Seeing the system notification meant that he was not dead yet. Please do not panic. You are currently still in the 9th heaven domain. As the 5th heaven domain requires you to upgrade your gaming equipment, please operate your gaming equipment according to the system prompt. Detected that your gaming equipment is the XR41 gaming cockpit. The equipment is rather outdated. Please operate with caution. Lu Chen was speechless. His equipment was probably the most advanced equipment that Tianqing could provide. It cost as much as 800,000. In order to prevent Tianqing from cutting off Lu Chen's connection again, the military had personally purchased this equipment under the military's name. In the end, it turned out to be rather outdated. Perhaps the equipment in other worlds were more advanced. Anyway, Lu Chen was sure that on Earth, his gaming cockpit was already the best. Please open the gaming cockpit and press the surface of the gaming cockpit's helmet with your right thumb. We will activate the secondary operating system according to your fingerprints. This won't affect me, right? Affect me in real life? Your current operation is a virtual operation. Only the pre-installed program will respond to your actions. It will not affect your safety in real life. However, just in case, please follow the operating instructions. Lu Chen nodded. Speaking of which, his consciousness was in the Jiutian. If the Jiutian wanted to harm him, they did not have to go through so much trouble. After opening the gaming cockpit, Lu Chen pressed the smooth surface of the helmet with his right thumb. Fingerprint confirmed. A small door suddenly opened on the side of the gaming helmet. There was only one red button inside. Please activate secondary operating system. Lu Chen thought about it and finally pressed the red button. Program upgrade. Your equipment will be bound to you. If the equipment is damaged, you will only need to buy a new one and unlock secondary operating system with your fingerprints. You will be forced to go offline in 5 minutes. The system upgrade will take about 15 minutes. After the upgrade, you will directly enter the 5th heaven domain. Have a good game. The system notification ended, and Lu Chen entered the countdown to go offline. Lu Chen frowned slightly. The system needs to be upgraded? This is the first time I've encountered something like this. It was said that the 5th heaven was a qualitative change. Just from the way he logged in, it indicated that this sentence was not wrong. Now all Lu Chen needed to do was wait patiently. After 5 minutes, he would automatically go offline. After going offline, Lu Chen opened his eyes and found that the gaming cockpit door was really open. The secondary operating system on the side of his helmet had also been activated. Damn, what a strange feeling. Lu Chen could not help but shiver. Someone had opened his gaming cockpit just now. If it was someone else, killing him would be a piece of cake. But what was more terrifying was that that person was actually himself. Another version of himself. Taking advantage of the system upgrade, Lu Chen ran to Lu Yi's room to take a look. That girl was lying in the gaming cockpit, and everything was normal. I wonder what that girl is doing. 15 minutes later, Lu Chen could not wait to log into the game again. He hurried back to his room. The system upgrade had been completed. At this time, the gaming cockpit had changed from a 30-degree tilt to a completely upright state. The original glass door had become completely black, and the inside could not be seen from the outside. What the hell? Why did the appearance change? Lu Chen did not understand the difference. Don't tell me I have to stand in the future? This doesn't make sense. Opening the cockpit door, Lu Chen put on the gaming helmet like before. Your secondary operating system has been completed. When entering the game this time, we will use interstellar teleportation technology to send your body to Jiutian. We can only guarantee that there will be no accidents during the teleportation process. Do you wish to continue? Lu Chen almost vomited blood. What? Interstellar teleportation? This? My body entering Jiutian? Are you kidding me? The system did not answer. Damn. I'm not ready yet. Wait. Lu Chen temporarily gave up on the teleportation and took off the gaming helmet. He squatted on the ground and panted heavily. Sweat had already seeped out of his forehead. Entering the game with one's consciousness and entering the game with one's own body were two different feelings. In other words, once Lu Chen was ready, He would undergo an unprecedented interstellar teleportation. He had not yet entered the fifth heaven, and had not seen what the fifth heaven was like, or what kind of strong people were there. Just the login method alone was enough to make Lu Chen tremble in fear. Chapter 7:18. If it was in the past, Lu Chen might have needed to calm down for a long time. However, after countless battles in the third and fourth heavens, Lu Chen's mental fortitude had unknowingly matured. At this moment, he sat on the edge of his bed and took a deep breath to calm himself down. The login method from the brain's neuron quantum replication to the current direct teleportation marked the first qualitative change in the fifth heavens. In the fifth heavens, physical damage would become the norm. And that word would linger in his mind all of a sudden: death. Lu Chen, oh Lu Chen, have you forgotten the answer you're looking for? If such a login method is enough to make you cower, then how are you going to reach the peak of the 9 heavens? Lu Chen took a deep breath. Death. Have you not faced enough third heavens and fourth heavens? After going through these 2 celestial domains, I actually already have the ability to face a real battle. What's more, other people are also directly teleporting. If they're not afraid, why should I be afraid? After a round of self-motivation, Lu Chen stood up again and walked to the front of the game cabin. Isn't it just teleportation? This will only make the game more interesting. Lu Chen's eyes gradually revealed a look of excitement, just like when he encountered a strong enemy in the game. Unknowingly, Lu Chen had transformed from an ordinary person into a strong person. Entering the game cabin again, Lu Chen closed the cabin door and put on the game helmet. Facing the system prompt again, he did not hesitate to select confirm. Fifth heavens, I the solipsistic am coming. Lu Chen's game cabin's glass door had become a one-way glass. It was impossible to see inside from the outside, and no one would notice. In fact, in Lu Chen's game cabin, a silver light lit up. At this time, there was no one in the game cabin. Physical teleportation was the first prerequisite for entering the fifth heavens. After a familiar dizziness, when Lu Chen opened his eyes, he found himself in a small village. The village was currently empty, with only a few simple houses. The doors of each house were open, and daily necessities could be seen in the houses. It was obvious that there were people living here, but there was no one around. Lu Chen touched his body. Speaking of which, it was quite strange. Lu Chen really couldn't tell if his body was in the game or in real life. The only difference was probably his attire. Lu Chen was now wearing his own red wild blood sword god outfit, not the big pants and vest that he wore at home. Is this the fifth layer of heaven? Where are the villagers? Lu Chen was puzzled. However, he still had a lot of questions, so he decided to start from the ones that could be solved. Right, what about my attributes? Should I use my physical attributes or the attributes in the game? Lu Chen opened his personal attribute panel. When he looked at the attributes, he almost collapsed. The 2 million points were all gone. Right now, his value was so low that it made one's hair stand on end. Physical attributes: Strength 1133, Agility 1142, Physique 1151, True Nuclear Spiritual Pill, Mixed Spiritual Pill Spiritual Power 1100. From the data, these attributes should be Lu Chen's physical attributes. He had used a lot of reality extraction scrolls, which was why his attributes were so high. Looking at his skills and bloodline, they were all gone. Fuck. What the hell? Lu Chen exclaimed. I worked so hard to level up, increase my stars and get equipment, but my stats are all gone. Just as Lu Chen was about to curse, he found that he had a new function page. Battle Soul Attribute Panel? Lu Chen opened the panel. In this panel, the solipsistic Battle Soul attribute appeared, including the extremely long name and exaggerated attributes. They were all there. At this moment, the system's explanation was displayed. The fifth layer of heaven is the beginning of the real Jiutian. Everyone has the opportunity to embark on the real path of cultivation. Please absorb your Battle Soul's strength. You will inherit all the Battle Soul's attributes, equipment, and other attributes. Lu Chen heaved a sigh of relief and quickly chose to inherit the Battle Soul's attributes. This thing could not be lost. It was not easy for him to upgrade it. However, After absorbing the attributes, Luchen found that he had indeed mastered all the Battle Soul's skills, bloodline and equipment, but he did not inherit the Battle Soul's attributes. What's going on? Where are my million attribute points? Luchen was a little flustered. Battle Soul absorption completed. You will obtain a new ability, Soul-Body Fusion. When in the state of Soul-Body Fusion, your attributes will be synchronized with the Battle Soul. Soul-Body Fusion is limited to 10 minutes per day. The maximum cumulative time is 60 minutes. If you do not use Soul-Body Fusion on that day, 10 minutes of Soul-Body Fusion time will be restored. This skill is available to all servers and cannot be affected by any other skills. Fuck. 10 minutes per day? That's not the Soul-Body Fusion state. Doesn't that mean all my attributes are trash? Luchen frowned. This fifth heaven was too much of a qualitative change. The change was so big that Luchen found it hard to accept. Friendly system reminder. The higher the heaven domain, the shorter the duration of soul-body fusion. It is recommended that you increase your physical strength first. Only with a strong physical body can you go further. This system reminder will be the last AI reminder of the built-in system. After this, the system will only retain basic functions, such as item identification and map display. The real game has begun. Welcome to the 9th heaven domain. Finally, the system wishes you a happy game. Luchen was stunned for a long time before he reacted. Embark on the real path of cultivation. Luchen pondered over this sentence. So Mu Xian and the others were real itinerant immortals? Jiutian finally revealed its true face in the 5th heaven. This was indeed a Xianxia-themed online game. However, it was so real that players could cultivate, and the network was extended to the entire universe. The system reminder had already disappeared. Luchen took a deep breath and began to analyze his current situation. First, he looked at the soul-body fusion state. Currently, his cumulative usage time was 10 minutes. If I encounter danger, I should be able to escape within 10 minutes. Luchen muttered to himself. With his current attributes, he was confident in this. Thinking of this, Luchen's nervous mood relaxed a little. If I don't use soul-body fusion for 6 days, then I can get an hour of time. I can handle most of the battles. If all the players in the server are like this, then I don't have to be nervous. Luchen calmed down. My attributes shouldn't be low. After all, not everyone can exchange for so many reality extraction scrolls. However, I can't be completely sure. After all, there are some races in the 5th heaven. Their advantages can be truly extracted. If I don't use soul-body fusion, I'm afraid I won't be a match for them. Fortunately, I have the celestial demon fusion cultivation technique and bloodline talent. Even if it's my own growth speed, it won't be slower than others. Thinking of this, Luchen finally calmed down completely. The 5th heaven was indeed not a joke. Not only did he have to teleport his own body in, but after the battle soul restriction, even for Luchen, danger lurked everywhere. You call the 5th heaven a real game? Luchen's lips curled up. Very good. You're playing big, right? Interesting. Chapter 719. Currently, Luchen had his previous skills and equipment, but his attributes had become his own. Luchen tried to summon Little Green, Xiaomin, Furball, and Rhubarb, and sure enough all 4 of them came out. Boss, have we reached the 5th level of heaven? Luchen nodded. Yes, here it is, but the changes are a bit big. Let me take a look at your attributes first. Little Green and the rest's attributes had already been reduced to 0. Now, Shi and Xiaomin existed in the Battle Soul form. On the 2's attribute panel, there was an option to activate Battle Soul form. Currently the option was grayed out. The description said that after activating the Battle Soul form, Xiaomin and Little Green's attributes would be restored. However, only Luchen could activate his own Battle Soul form to activate this state. Luchen immediately checked his mythical beast battle pets, and they were all in the same situation. Luchen completely understood that the 5th level of heaven divided his strength into 2 parts. His own body strength, which was Luchen's own attributes. When he didn't activate soul form as one, he was a real person. The skills he had learned before could still be used, but the power would be sharply reduced after the attributes were lowered. The battle soul's strength was the accumulated strength before the 5th level of heaven. This part of the strength was still effective, but now there was a time limit. One thing to note was that the equipment's attributes could now only be added to the battle soul's attributes. After obtaining an excellent equipment, the body would only obtain the equipment's skills. What was surprising was that Furball and Rhubarb's situation was different from the other battle pets. Furball and Rhubarb had their own independent soul form as one skill. Damn, you two actually didn't use soul form as one with me? Lu Chen's eyes were full of shock. Forget about Furball. Old Yao had said that it was a heaven-swallowing rat that had the power to destroy heaven and earth. It shouldn't exist in the Jiutian, so it wasn't strange for it to have some strange phenomena. But what the hell was Rhubarb? Its 3 attributes were all 5, and its spiritual power attribute had reached an astonishing 0. This guy with a battle strength of 5 trash actually had his own soul-body fusion? Rhubarb was sticking out its tongue and wagging its tail as it looked happily at Lu Chen. It looked a little silly. Rhubarb, what secrets are you hiding from me? Lu Chen stroked Rhubarb's head. Don't you only know how to find treasures? Woof woof woof. You know how to fight. You fight. Lu Chen's face was full of disbelief. If I let you fight, wouldn't Mu Xian's spirit in heaven strike me to death? Lu Chen shook his head. At this stage, it was impossible for him to let Rhubarb fight. However, the little fur ball was still very powerful. If it had an independent soul-body fusion time, then Lu Chen would have an extra 10 minutes of soul-body fusion time. Even if he used up his soul-body fusion time, the little fur ball could still use it. Little guy, you're very strong. Lu Chen held the little fur ball in his palm and gently patted its little head. I'm really curious to see how strong you will be in the future. The little fur ball brought another piece of good news. It was equivalent to Lu Chen having twice the amount of soul-body fusion time compared to others. Since he was already here, Lu Chen calmed down and observed his surroundings. This was an ordinary little village. There were straw houses and tiled houses. The doors of the houses were wide open, and he could see that the daily necessities inside were very traditional. There were no electrical appliances. It feels a bit like an ancient village. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Strange, the doors are wide open. Where did the people go? Not long after, 100 or so people came back from outside the village. These people were all from the human race. There were men, women, old and young. Lu Chen was a bit puzzled. Could it be that these people came from the 4th layer of heaven? But why were there children? Some of the children were only 3 or 4 years old. Their bodies were dirty, and they were wiping their snot. If they were also experts recognized by the extreme nether glow, Lu Chen would probably collapse. Behind these people, there was a large group of people carrying simple stretchers. On the stretchers lay 30 to 40 people. Although the villagers had already treated their injuries, the bandages were still covered in blood. Some of them were missing limbs, and some of them were lying motionless on the stretchers. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. What's going on? Lu Chen was a bit confused. When they saw Lu Chen, they immediately surrounded him. Who are you? Why are you in our village? Lu Chen blinked his eyes. This question was very deadly. Why was he in the village? Was he teleported here by interstellar transportation? And from the 4th layer of heaven? Cough cough, this cough cough. I am just passing by. Lu Chen forced himself to make up an excuse. Passing by? You're dressed so flirtatiously, and you came to our village while we were hunting dragons. I think you're a rapist, a villager said angrily. Lu Chen glanced at the women in the village. They were quite down to earth. I think you've misunderstood. I'm really not a rapist. Misunderstood? Then how can you prove that you're not? How can I prove that I'm not? How can I fucking prove that I'm not? I didn't do anything. You can insult my appearance, but you can't insult my character. Lu Chen shook his head. Uncles and aunties, I didn't steal anything. And I didn't steal anyone. I didn't do anything. Why are you saying that I'm a bad person? The villagers looked at each other. This guy seemed to have a point. When there was no one in the village, he was just standing here. He didn't have anything in his hands that didn't belong to him. Lu Chen saw that the emotions on their faces had calmed down. It seemed that they were quite simple and ordinary people. I'm really just passing by. It's my first time here, so I'm not familiar with this place. If I've offended you, please forgive me. Seeing that this young man spoke politely, the villagers finally let down their psychological guard. You're a foreigner. How did you come to our place? To be honest, I came here by accident. Lu Chen thought about it and asked, Excuse me, you said that you were going to hunt a dragon. What did that mean? A dark-skinned strong man said, You don't even know about hunting a dragon? You look like you're from a wealthy family. It's not surprising that you don't know. We need to go to the nearby Crouching Dragon Mountain to hunt demons. Then, we'll take the demon materials to the nearby county to sell in exchange for survival items for the village. Lu Chen asked curiously. Then what about the demons that you've hunted? Sigh. The dragon species we encountered this time was too strong. We suffered heavy casualties. It's good enough that we managed to escape. Speaking of this dragon hunt, many villagers sighed. There's no extra food in the village. I don't know if we can survive this winter. My family's Yuzi is gone this time. How are we going to survive if we're left behind? Huzi's mother, don't cry. Everyone has food to eat. We definitely won't let you and your mother starve. An old man said. Huzi's mother shook her head while crying. Village chief, there's no extra food in the village. Today, the immortals are coming to collect rent. We don't have enough food. We're going to be punished again. This winter, we can only eat wild vegetables and tree bark. Lu Chen frowned as he listened by the side. Without a doubt, this group of people did not come from the fourth layer of heaven. They were probably ordinary people living in this world. The immortals are coming to collect rent. Lu Chen asked curiously. The village chief shook his head. They're not here to collect rent. They're here to collect lives. Chapter 720. If he guessed correctly, then the so-called immortals could be cultivators, or even those who came from the fourth layer of heaven. However, Lu Chen was flabbergasted when he heard that the immortals were here to claim their lives. Originally, Lu Chen thought that the fifth layer of heaven was a world where the fourth layer of heaven experts fought for hegemony. He did not expect that it would involve ordinary people as well. Even ordinary people were not spared. One could imagine how cruel the fifth layer of heaven was. During this dragon hunt, more than 20 people died in the village. They were all young and strong laborers. The villagers were burying the dead when a child hurriedly ran over from the village entrance. The immortals are here. The little boy shouted anxiously. They will definitely come. I just did not expect them to come so quickly. The village chief was so anxious that sweat was already seeping out of his forehead. Not long later, 7 or 8 men and women wearing white robes with outstanding temperaments had already entered the village. These people had their chins slightly raised, looking high and mighty. Just as they walked in front of the crowd, the leading man in white robes said arrogantly, Hurry up and pay this month's grain rent. The village chief did not dare to look directly at the immortal. He trembled as he said, Reporting to the immortal, we did not gather enough grain rent, but we went to hunt a dragon. We are thinking of a way. Hunt a dragon? What about the dragon species? This time we encountered a rank 1 earth dragon. It was too difficult to deal with. 24 people in the village have already died. So you did not gather enough grain rent and did not hunt a dragon species? The immortal's tone was cold. His calm tone made the village chief sweat profusely. He stuttered as he said, Reporting to the immortal, we really. Less nonsense. I will ask again. Did you not gather enough grain rent? Answer me yes or no. The village chief had a stomach full of words, but he could only forcefully swallow them back. He lowered his head and answered, Yes, and that's easy. How much is less? Pay with your life. Immortal, the village chief said anxiously. A trace of coldness flashed across the man's eyes. In a flash, he was in front of the village chief. With a slap, he sent the village chief flying. The old man crashed into the wall of a house far away, causing it to collapse. Village chief. A few villagers hurriedly ran over and dragged the village chief out of the rubble. The old village chief was on the verge of death. The immortal was completely unmoved. Someone else who can speak up, Hand over the rent first. The villagers did not dare to disobey. Several young people carried over 20 sacks and placed them respectfully in front of the immortal. The man glanced over and snorted coldly. 4 bags less. 4 lives. Do you want to choose or should I? The villagers looked at each other. The old village chief was still breathing. He looked at the villagers. Just now, they had lost more than 20 young and strong men, and now another 4 had to die. Cough, 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 it's all because I'm useless. Count me in. Village head. You can't go. I'm old and I've lived long enough. The elders of the village can go first. Count me in. I don't have any arms now. If I live, I'll only be a burden to everyone. Urju, if it wasn't for you last time, we wouldn't have been able to subdue that beast. You are a cripple for the village. A disability is a disability. One by one the villagers stood up. The others fell into sorrow, but there was nothing they could do. At this moment, the man suddenly saw Lu Chun in the crowd. Currently, Lu Chun was in the observation stage. However, his clothes and temperament were completely different from the villagers, who had been starving for a long time. He was recognized at a glance. There's such a person in your village? Hey, the kid in red, come over here. Lu Chun slightly frowned and walked out from the crowd. Immortal, are you calling me? What else? Look who here is still wearing red. Lu Chun nodded. Oh, then you should be calling me Immortal. I'm not from this village. The matters here don't seem to have much to do with me. The few immortals looked at each other. The leader sneered. Don't worry, we know you're not from this village. Let me ask you, are you willing to join the immortal sect? Lu Chun was stunned for a moment. This group of people actually wanted him to join the immortal sect? Kid, we're all the same. All the experts in the 5th celestial layer are crazily gathering resources to increase their strength. As the saying goes, it's better to have a big tree to rely on. Joining the immortal sect, for our Azure Dragon sect, can strengthen our strength. For you, you'll also get a share of the profits. Many of the villagers looked at Lu Chun in astonishment. They didn't expect this person to have the qualifications to become an immortal. His tone and attitude just now made them feel that he was just an ordinary person. Hey kid, what do you say? Lu Chun glanced at the villagers behind him. He already understood their miserable state clearly. He naturally knew what kind of sect the Azure Dragon sect was. If I join the Azure Dragon sect, can I be like you, collecting rent from these people and killing them at will? Lu Chun asked. Of course you can. We are the true rulers of this place. The commoners of this low-level planet are naturally at our mercy. To be able to die in our hands is their honor. Lu Chun smiled. What you said seems to make sense. But I'm very curious. Are the commoners in the 5th celestial layer human? If you want to know more, then join our Azure Dragon sect. We are open to people with strength. Oh right, if you want to have a taste of killing pigs, how about letting you do it after they've chosen their people? Lu Chun nodded. Sounds interesting. After saying that, Lu Chun walked over to the immortal's side. The villagers were already numb. Anyway, whether this red-clothed man did it or others did it, it didn't make a difference to them. Until now, they didn't even dare to say a word against the immortal. The 4 people who were going to die had already been chosen. They came in front of the immortal and obediently knelt on the ground. Kid, from now on you are a member of our Azure Dragon sect. Today, I'll let you have a taste of it. This place is different from the past. Here, you can really kill people. The red-clothed man couldn't hide the excitement in his heart. Oh right, remember to use soul-body unification. On the one hand, using it before returning to the sect is a sign of respect for the Azure Dragon sect. On the other hand, it will be more interesting to kill. Lu Chun smiled and pulled out the limitless demon god sword. He walked in front of the 4 villagers and used the tip of his sword to touch the village chief's shoulder. Soul-body unification. The immortal behind him saw that this guy actually used soul-body unification to kill people and couldn't help but smile. Hee, this guy is really to my liking. Come, let's watch his performance. The village chief raised his head slightly and secretly glanced at Lu Chun. Seeing this person's eyes emitting a green fog, his heart couldn't help but turn cold. Heaven and earth are heartless, treating all living things like straw dogs. This is our fate. Suddenly, the young man in front of him said faintly, "Old man, you have the courage to die for the villagers. Why don't you have the courage to change your own fate?" And the old man raised his head in surprise. He saw that young man smiling at him with a gentle gaze. But when he turned around, his eyes were filled with killing intent. "Originally, I wanted to keep a low profile first. But you guys have really disgusted me. You still dare to call yourself an immortal. You guys are simply shameless to the extreme." Lu Chen turned around, and his black hair instantly turned white. His eyes turned blood red. "If the fifth layer of heaven is filled with immortals like you guys, then I, Lu Chen, will follow the path of the devil and slay immortals." Chapter 721. When the immortals saw that Lu Chen was actually targeting them, their faces immediately darkened. "Kid, I didn't expect that after going through so many heavens, you still haven't realized the cruelty of reality. You want to be enemies with our Azure Dragon sect just because of them." Lu Chen looked at the shocked villagers behind him. He seemed to have seen the fate of Earth in the future. If the final battle was really the result of the Whirlpool world, would Earth become another world that was ruled by another world? No matter what, he must enter the final battle. Lu Chen looked at the people from Azure Dragon sect and sneered. "Whether I help them or not is secondary. The main thing is that I don't like you guys. I can't help but want to teach those who don't like me a lesson." "Ha ha ha ha, kid. You're already so arrogant when you just arrived at Fifth Heaven? Do you know what kind of place Fifth Heaven is? Do you still think it's like the past?" Lu Chen curled his lips. "The bigger the game, the more I like it." "Alright, kid. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Since you want to die, then we'll fulfill your wish. Soul-body fusion." The 7 Azure Dragon sect disciples activated their soul-body fusion technique at the same time. "Kid, with all of us combined, our soul-body fusion will last for a few hours. See how we'll kill you." Lu Chen snorted. "Do you think I'll give you the chance to exhaust all the time? Arrogant. Same old rules, don't fight recklessly for the time being. Exhaust his soul-body fusion, and he'll definitely die." Lu Chen realized that the tactics of Fifth Heaven had suddenly changed. They had changed from a head-on fight to a delaying tactic. Unfortunately, everyone came from the 4th celestial layer. The others obtained the approval of the extreme nether glow, while Lu Chen directly killed it. The difference between the two was self-evident. The current battle must be ended quickly. Coincidentally, this was also Lu Chen's favorite style. He always liked to kill in seconds. Demon God Symbiosis, Death Trap, Dragon Blood Boiling, Chaos Domain. Lu Chen quickly activated his skill. Within the Chaos Domain, even if these people's domains overlapped, they would not be able to affect Lu Chen. Delaying tactic? It won't work on me, Lu Chen bellowed. Ghostly shadows descend. For a moment, a large number of ghostly shadows appeared on the battlefield, moving rapidly. Lu Chen quickly landed in front of the leader. "I'm all ears." That person was pulled to Lu Chen's side, and he was immediately shocked. For a person who had just arrived from the 4th layer of heaven, considering that the 5th layer of heaven had directly transmigrated with his physical body, as long as the other party had the intention, with the battle prowess of soul body as one, his physical body would almost certainly be destroyed. They were often timid at the beginning of the battle, and their fighting style was quite cautious. However, the red-clothed man in front of him was not like that at all. He had lowered his HP to an extremely low level right from the start. Moreover, he did not even think twice before initiating an attack. From his ferocious fighting style, this fellow must have experienced countless life and death battles in the 3rd or 4th heavenly domain to be able to fight like this. "How can you move freely in my domain?" Lu Chen sneered. He had no obligation to answer the other party's question, since he had closed in on the other party. Then what awaited him was Lu Chen's fierce attack. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain. The limitless sword of the celestial demon pierced out 10 times in a row. There was no indication of the person's HP above his head, and there were no numbers floating out. There were only 10 strikes, and each strike left a bloody hole in his body. In the blink of an eye, That person's bloodshot eyes bulged, and blood spurted out from his body. He directly fell to the ground and stopped moving. Was this the fighting style of a fifth layer of heaven? This question flashed through Lu Chen's mind, but now was not the time to think about it. His figure quickly landed beside another person. This person saw that his senior brother was instantly killed by Lu Chen, but his reaction was fast enough. Seeing the ghostly shadows shooting towards him, he quickly made a move. Dragon Roar Sun-Piercing Sword Art. The long sword in his hand was not like Lu Chen's wide and flat long sword. It was more like a slender weapon in Western fencing. His movements were extremely fast, and his arms were only left with afterimages. He had already stabbed countless times. 9 steps in the void. Lu Chen used his movement technique, but it was not to dodge, but to change the direction of the opponent's attack with the miniature vortex. Affected by the miniature vortex, the Dragon Roar Sun-Piercing Sword Art's direction was deviated, and Lu Chen had already turned around and arrived beside him. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain. He killed another person. The villagers behind him were already dumbfounded at this moment. This is the strength of an immortal? He's too strong. It's already to the point where it's hard to see with the naked eye. He has already killed 2 immortals. My God, he killed immortals. There's still such a terrifying battle in this world. To them, Lu Chen's battle had already exceeded their imagination. Not long after, Lu Chen had already killed the 7th Azure Dragon sect disciple. This guy was trying to escape, but Lu Chen caught up and directly killed him. The 7 Azure Dragon sect disciples were all lying in a pool of blood. Their bodies were full of bloody holes, and blood was constantly gushing out from their corpses. Lu Chen glanced at the limitless demon god sword, and discovered that there were still traces of blood on the sword, dripping down along the blade. This was real blood. The light emitted by the limitless sword gradually became more intense, as if it was stimulated by the blood and became excited. In Lu Chen's mind, the voice of the limitless sword rang out. This is the smell of blood. It's been a long time since I smelled this smell. Lu Chen was slightly surprised. You've been to the 5th layer of heaven before? Boss, I already don't remember. But this smell gives me a feeling of déjà vu, the artifact spirit said. Lu Chen nodded. The limitless sword should have been to the 5th layer of heaven, or even higher heaven domain. At this moment, the surrounding villagers were already scared out of their wits, and were out of their wits. Young man! The village chief struggled to stand up and quickly walked in front of Lu Chen. Quickly run. If the Azure Dragon sect knows that you killed their people, they will definitely come to find you for revenge. Lu Chen kept the limitless sword and said indifferently, send someone to inform the Azure Dragon sect. Just say that I killed their people. No, you killed the immortal for us, we can't betray you. The village chief shook his head. That's right, if not for you, I'm afraid that we wouldn't have survived this winter. Immortal, although we are weak, we will definitely not do such a thing to repay kindness with enmity. Lu Chen smiled. I appreciate your kind intentions. I've killed their people. The Azure Dragon sect won't be able to find me for a while. But you guys, if you don't report it, I'm afraid that you will be implicated. At that time, I reckon that it's not something that can be solved with just a few deaths. You guys might even die. The village chief went silent. Lu Chen patted the village chief's shoulder. Don't worry. You guys have seen my strength just now. I won't die so easily. Now there's no time to lose. Quickly go and report it. After saying that, Lu Chen turned around and walked towards the 7 corpses, sizing up these blurry corpses. After killing 7 people, Lu Chen realized that he didn't feel anything. After all, he had already killed a few enemies in the 3rd or 4th layer of heaven by injuring his body. These people treated the common people as livestock, slaughtering them as they wished. They deserved to die. So Lu Chen didn't have any psychological burden. But the problem was there no data for fighting nowadays? Then the next question was, did these people drop any equipment? Thinking of this, Lu Chen squatted down and started to loot the corpses. Logically speaking, everything should be mine. Lu Chen frowned. Chapter 722. These people's armor had different degrees of damage, but their weapons could still be used. Lu Chen kept all 7 immortal weapons. Why didn't the other items drop? Lu Chen was surprised. But suddenly a series of soft explosive sounds came from the air. Then a few scattered items appeared on the ground. Pills, equipment, spirit stones, many attribute extraction scrolls, and a small book. Lu Chen thought for a moment, and immediately understood. The sound just now should be the sound of the battle soul being destroyed. After the battle soul died, the items in the backpack would burst out. But what is the use of the attribute extraction scrolls now? Time was tight, so Lu Chen didn't have time to think about it. He hurriedly picked up all the spoils, and casually gave the village chief a few dozen spirit stones. The village chief was so scared that his hands trembled. Immortal, these are spirit stones. You have already saved our village. We can't accept such valuable things. Lu Chen said indifferently. Take it, don't let the people of Azure Dragon School know. If possible, it's better for you to move away. This matter should not be delayed. I have to go. You guys take care of yourselves. Finished speaking, Lu Chen took advantage of the fact that the soul-body fusion was not over, and prepared to use displacement to leave. But the old village chief suddenly pulled Lu Chen. Immortal, you wait a moment. Finished speaking, the old village chief let his son run back home, and quickly took a piece of beast skin. The village chief looked at the villagers and said to them, Everyone, I want to give our village's treasure to our benefactor. What do you all think? Village chief, our benefactor saved our lives, we have no objections. Yes, he also gave us spirit stones. These spirit stones are enough for us to live for a long time. Such a great kindness, we should give it to our benefactor. Lu Chen's face was blank. What exactly is this thing? Speaking of which, these poor villagers, what kind of treasure did they keep? After getting everyone's approval, the village chief held the beast skin and walked in front of Lu Chen. Benefactor, this is a rare beast skin that we accidentally obtained in the process of dragon hunting. It is impervious to fire and water, invulnerable to swords and spears. Once we take out this treasure, we might be targeted. If the Azure Dragon School knows that we took it out to sell, they might even exterminate our clan. So, we give this treasure to you as a gift to repay your kindness. I don't intend to ask you to repay anything. We know, benefactor, this kind of thing is not something we can use. To us, it will harm us, you should accept it. Lu Chen thought for a moment and finally accepted the beast skin. The system still retained the item identification function, giving the item information immediately. Acquired equipment strengthening material mature feral skin. Effect. Reduce damage, reduce physical damage by 10%. Lu Chen was taken aback. A strengthening material that reduces physical damage. This thing is definitely a treasure in the 5th heaven. In the battle with the Azure Dragon School disciple, it was not difficult to see that armor could not prevent damage to the body. In the case of soul and body as one, the battle soul and the body were in a state of coexistence. When the battle soul was injured, the body would also be seriously injured. The heart demon state of the divine demon lotus heart could reduce damage to the body by 80%. But Lu Chen would not use the heart demon state unless it was a last resort. And this strengthening material could reduce damage to the body by 10%, which was very useful to Lu Chen. He did not expect that helping these villagers would be rewarded so well. Lu Chen was a little embarrassed. Lu Chen stuffed 1,000 spirit stones to the village chief, hoping that these poor villagers would have a good ending. Time was too short, so Lu Chen did not stay any longer. After bidding farewell to the villagers, he quickly went into the forest and disappeared. Beside a stream in the forest, Lu Chen washed the bloodstains on his body in the clear water. I just arrived at the 5th heaven, and I already killed people. Lu Chen shook his head. He originally wanted to seriously cultivate, but in the end, he walked on a path of no return. After reaching the maximum level, Lu Chen's attributes were even stronger than when he fought the Great Moon Nether Glow. Now, it seemed that as long as he had soul and body as one, he would still be very strong. Among the spoils of war obtained from the Azure Dragon School disciple, there was a small booklet. It recorded the Azure Dragon School's territory and some of their members. Their territory was very vast. After Lu Chen's soul and body as one state ended, He could not walk out with his physical strength. The Azure Dragon School will probably not let me go. Just in case, I should think of a way to increase my body's strength. This place was already very far from the dragon hunting village. Although it was not out of the Azure Dragon School's territory, it would not be easy for the Azure Dragon School to find him. Luchin set up a temporary camp beside the stream. Unknowingly, it was already nighttime. Some strange sounds came from the forest in the distance. He did not know what kind of creature it was. Those villagers said they were going to hunt a dragon. That means there are many wild beasts in the forest. Luchin summoned Little Fur Ball. Little Fur Ball, help me look after them. After instructing Little Fur Ball, Luchin sat cross-legged on the grass beside the bonfire. I'll cultivate for a while and see if there are any changes. Activating the God and Devil Origin cultivation method. After a few minutes of cultivation, Luchin realized that all his spiritual energy had been added to the Battle Soul. The Battle Soul's spiritual energy is increasing. The 1 million upper limit has been unlocked. But how do I increase my spiritual energy? Suddenly, Luchin thought of the attribute extraction scroll that he had obtained from killing people. Let's give it a try. The value of these attribute extraction scrolls were not large. There were 10 or 20 points, but there were quite a lot of them. There were 30 to 40 of them. Picking up one of the 10 points attribute extraction scrolls, the system gave an item introduction. 10 points attribute extraction scroll can extract 10 points of spiritual energy. The body's attributes cannot exceed the Battle Soul's attributes. Luchin immediately used the attribute extraction scroll and extracted 10 points of spiritual energy. Received 10 points of spiritual energy. Every point of spiritual energy can strengthen 3 points of any 3 attributes. It can also be directly added to the body's spiritual core. So that's how it is. Luchin finally understood. In the level 5, to increase the body's strength, one had to use the attribute extraction scroll. The current attribute extraction scroll could only extract spiritual energy. However, after extracting spiritual energy, every point of spiritual energy could be exchanged for 3 points of any 3 attributes. Of course, it could also be directly added to spiritual energy. The previous attribute extraction scroll was indeed more expensive than the 3-dimensional attribute extraction scroll. It seems that it is not without reason. Also, I still don't know how to get the attribute extraction scroll. Forget it, let's not worry about it for now. I'll use up these attribute extraction scrolls first. This time, Luchin exchanged all 10 points of spiritual energy for physique. Adding a little more blood meant that the body could resist a little more. Although 30 points of physique was negligible in front of the Battle Soul, a little more was still a little more. Haha, this fight was not in vain. I have a rough idea of the rules of the level 5. The Battle Soul's function was greater than Luchin had expected. In addition to soul-body fusion, the Battle Soul was also a reference for attribute extraction. The body's attributes could not exceed the Battle Soul's attributes. Luchin's Battle Soul's attributes were very exaggerated. Now that he could continue to increase his strength, it meant that his upper limit was definitely much higher than the average person. Chapter 723. After figuring out the method to upgrade his body, Luchin used all the extraction scrolls in one go. There were a total of 32 extraction scrolls, which increased his spiritual energy by 470 points. Luchin added all 470 points to his physique, which became 1,410 points. Little Fur Ball stood guard at the side, and no other creatures approached them. Seeing that Luchin was distributing the attributes so seriously, Little Fur Ball stared at Luchin with its small eyes. Hey, hey, what are you doing? Is there a problem with me adding them all to physique? Is this a coward? This is a strategy. If I don't have enough physique, I won't be able to walk far. Luchin forced himself to explain. If you laugh at me again, I won't give you any more extraction scrolls. Luchin threatened Little Fur Ball fiercely. You can increase your attributes just by eating. Damn, you are too much. Luchin widened his eyes. Alright, Little Fur Ball was indeed strong. and it seemed that its strength was even more exaggerated in the fifth heaven domain. Forget it, forget it. I can't compare to you. Lucian shook his head and could only admit defeat. After completing the extraction scrolls, Lucian fused the fierce beast skin with the wild blood sword god costume. When fusing, the system notified him that he lacked the core material. Lucian immediately inserted an equipment strengthening stone. This time he finally succeeded. The potion boy said that these core materials are very useful. So it is true. Lucian looked at his backpack. There were still 522 pieces of various materials. It doesn't feel like a lot. Let's see if I can get more in the future. After fusing the costume, Lucian lay on the haystack and looked up at the starry sky above. The fifth heaven domain is actually a real world. Which galaxy is this? What is this world like? It feels different from what I imagined cultivation to be like. Shouldn't immortals care about the world and be kind and charitable? Why did they encounter the Azure Dragon sect that used such cruel methods to oppress and enslave the commoners? Lucian wasn't a saint, but he had a special characteristic. He didn't like to bully others. Weaklings? Wasn't he once a commoner at the lowest rung of society? He was different from the descendants of those big clans. He could understand the feelings of the weak. Immortal? Perhaps it's just the immortals they speak of, Lucian said disdainfully. Above his head, the starry sky was dotted with stars. The bright river of stars was exceptionally bright in the clear night sky. As the night breeze caressed him, Lucian could vividly feel everything in this different world. I actually transmigrated. Lucian rested his head on his hands and looked at the starry sky with a smile. This was something that many people dreamed of, and now it had really happened. Lui will definitely be worried if I don't go back for a long time. But the guide that Li Muhua mentioned should know about my situation. He came in a hurry this time. Originally, Lucian thought that even if he had transmigrated, he could still find a way to go back at any time. However, his current situation was a little awkward. Since no one asked him about it, he could only stay in the game for the time being. Who is the girl who shed tears for me? Unknowingly, under the tranquil night sky, a young man still had many questions in his mind. However, in the end, he couldn't resist the fatigue and gradually fell asleep. Early the next morning, the sun shone through the gaps in the leaves. When Lucian woke up, he felt extremely hungry. At this moment, Furball was hugging a strange fish that was even bigger than itself. It ran crookedly to Lucian's side. Oh, you are hungry too? Lucian recalled that Rhubarb also had a corporeal body and was definitely hungry. He summoned Rhubarb. Sigh. If I had known, I would have learned cooking. It turns out that this skill is the most useful. However, what surprised Lucian was that his cooking skill was now a 2-star cooking master. He used to work in a restaurant's kitchen and often cooked. It seemed like his real-life skills had been recorded. So be it. I can't compare to that bastard chasing Cloud. Let's just eat a little. Furball didn't like to eat non-living things. After giving the fish to Lucian, it ran off to catch another fish. Lucian roasted the fish and enjoyed it with Rhubarb. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Lucian had nothing to do. He flipped through the small booklet he obtained. The Azure Dragon sect has a total of 831 people. They have the qualifications to register as a sect. They have 512 1-star cultivators, 219 2-star cultivators, 81 3-star cultivators, 17 3-star cultivators, and 2 5-star cultivators. What is this thing? Lucian opened his panel and realized that his name could be chosen. Oh! Lucian tried to choose his name. Lucian unlocked Immortal Cultivation level. Ranking. After 100 million, Lucian blinked. He didn't have anyone to guide him now. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have known there was such a thing. What is this thing? Unlocked Immortal Cultivation. Immortal Cultivation level upgraded to 1-star Wild Cultivator. Can be upgraded. Enter a proper sect and become a cultivator. Cultivators can enjoy the sect's benefits. Obtained item, 10 points of Spiritual Energy Extraction Scroll, x10. Obtained item, 1-star Wild Cultivator Badge. Ranking. After 100 million. Oh! Lucian opened his eyes wide. There was such a good thing. Speaking of which, why was it a wild cultivator? It sounded weird, like a savage. However, cultivators and wild cultivators didn't seem to have any difference in attributes. It was just that their names were different. So what if I'm a wild cultivator? I wouldn't go to that kind of sect even if they begged me. Continue to level up. Immortal cultivation level upgraded to 2-star wild cultivator. Next level requires 2000 points of spiritual energy. Obtain 20 points of spiritual energy extraction scroll x10. 1-star wild cultivator badge has been upgraded to 2-star wild cultivator badge. Ranking after 90 million. Finally, it's not after 100 million. It seems like most people are still 1-star cultivators. It's just that there's still 90 million in front of me. Then, those super strong cultivators, would their attributes have already reached the upper limit of the battle soul? Thinking of this, Lu Chen couldn't help but reevaluate the strength of the 5th celestial layer. The wild cultivator badge was imprinted on Lu Chen's chest and couldn't be removed. This thing is useless. Leveling up is automatic. I can also choose not to level up. So in the future, I can't judge a person's strength just by looking at the badge. Speaking of which, do I have to call myself a wild cultivator? Can't I just call myself a wild cultivator? Lu Chen shook his head. Regardless of whether his title was unpleasant or not, the 20 points of spiritual energy extraction scrolls were real. Lu Chen couldn't wait to quickly extract his attributes. 300 points of spiritual energy extraction scroll was exchanged for 900 points of physique. Physique is now 3,600. Lu Chen said proudly. My current physique has already reached the middle level of a 4-star cultivator. Among 2-star cultivators, I'm a monster. In the Azure Dragon sect, a man with a stocky back and a bare waist was furious. What, a mere newbie actually killed my Azure Dragon sect disciple? How dare he kill someone and steal their treasures in the territory of my Azure Dragon sect? If this matter were to spread, my Azure Dragon sect's face would be gone. I must cut this person into pieces to relieve the hatred in my heart. A skinny man with a goatee said. Hall Master, before Sun Yu was killed, he left a Xuanlong's tongue on him. Alright, he has already used soul body as one. He definitely won't be able to escape in a day or two. With the Xuanlong's tongue, he won't be able to escape even if he has wings. Follow me immediately to kill this person. If my Azure Dragon sect Marquis doesn't let him die, he really thinks that the 5th celestial layer is a joke. Chapter 724. Lu Chen had obtained a map in the booklet. Lu Chen synchronized it with his personal map. Today, there is another 10 minutes of soul-body fusion, but it would be best to accumulate it to an hour. During this time, I should try not to encounter any wild beasts. There is a county town nearby. I can go take a look. Lu Chen washed up and brought rhubarb and the little fur ball to the county town. Lu Chen's taisho had already been extracted and could be used directly. However, it consumed too much spirit qi. Lu Chen could only fly and walk for a while. 2 hours later, Lu Chen saw a towering city tower not far away. There were 3 words on it, Jinshui County. The county town was not too big, but it was quite popular. There was an endless stream of people coming and going at the city gate. Some people had a cultivator badge on their chest. However, they were all 1-star cultivators. There were very few 2-star cultivators. When the city gate guards saw the 2-star wild cultivator badge on Lu Chen's chest, several of them were stunned. 2-star cultivators were nothing. The key was that he was a wild cultivator. This guy was already a 2-star cultivator, and yet he had not joined a sect? However, they did not dare to stop Lu Chen, and watched him enter the county town. There was a county town map in front of the county town. Lu Chen noticed that although this place was small, it had all the essentials. Restaurants, inns, shops, and even brothels. The local brothel called Full Flower House was said to be very popular. In addition, there was a trading area for cultivators to trade. One had to wear a cultivator badge to enter. Brothel. Lu Chen suppressed the curiosity in his heart. He shook his head and walked in another direction. In the immortal trading area, the decorations of the shops here were much more exquisite than outside. Every shop was exquisitely carved and had a rather stylish style. One spirit stone was enough to buy such a luxurious shop. For ordinary cultivators, opening a shop in the mortal world naturally had to be done well. After looking at a few shops, Luchan noticed that they were all selling battle soul equipment. Most of them were peak tier 4 heavenly layers. Luchan had already obtained these items before, so he didn't need to buy them. Luchan called out Little Green. Little Green, I'll give you 1,000,000 spirit stones. Take Little Fur Ball to a medicinal shop and buy whatever medicinal herbs you need. 1,000,000. Boss, I don't think we need that much. It's fine. Don't the alchemist apprentices need medicinal herb seeds as well? I can't spend them all, so I'll leave them with you for now. I won't accompany you anymore. I'll go see if there's anything else. All right. Little Green was under the protection of Little Fur Ball, so he wandered around the area without any danger. Luchan brought Rhubarb to look around. After a while, Rhubarb suddenly ran towards a shop. Luchan was startled and hurriedly followed. Rhubarb's ability to find treasures was unquestionable. Luchan naturally wouldn't let go of anything that could pique its interest. This was a simple and unadorned shop. The decorations inside were all carved from solid wood. The decorations took up more than half of the shop's interior, but there were very few goods on display. After Rhubarb came in, it immediately appeared very calm. Luchan was well aware that Rhubarb knew that it couldn't act too strangely. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Luchan to bargain. It stopped in front of a tree stump and pretended to sniff the table leg. There was a pretty girl in the shop. When she saw Rhubarb walking around the table leg, she became anxious. Hey, whose dog is this? Don't pee in my shop. Rhubarb quickly ran behind Luchan. When the girl saw Luchan, her gaze naturally fell on his chest. 2-star cultivator. At the same time, Luchan also noticed the girl's badge. 3-star cultivator. She was actually higher than him. It's your dog? It can't be a battle pet, right? Luchan smiled. Who would bring a battle pet with them? Don't worry, Rhubarb won't cause trouble. The girl looked at Rhubarb suspiciously. Alright, you better be good. If you dare to pee in my shop, I will forget it. Let's see if your master wants to buy anything. The girl once again looked at Luchan. You're a wild cultivator? In Luchan's mind, he would always associate wild cultivator with savage. It felt like the other party was asking, you're a savage? That's right. I'm a wild cultivator. Interesting. You actually don't want to join a sect. That way, you'll lose a lot of resources. Luchan smiled. Thank you for your reminder, but I don't plan to join a sect for the time being. That's right, boss. Do you sell cash withdrawal coupons? Cash withdrawal coupons? You actually want to buy cash withdrawal coupons? The girl emphasized the word buy, as if ordinary people wouldn't buy cash withdrawal coupons. I do have some here, but they are reserved for experts. The price is not something you can accept. Luchan's smile remained. How much for 10 points? 10 points. Ha ha, little friend, I don't sell 10 points here. My starting price is 50 points, and the price is 10,000 spirit stones per coupons. When Luchan heard this, he immediately became spirited. There are higher denominations? Higher denominations? Yes, there are. But unfortunately you can't afford it. The 100 points cost 20,000 spirit stones per coupons. Do you think you can afford it? I say, little brother, you're biting off more than you can chew. How many spirit stones can a 2-star cultivator like you have? It's better for you to honestly join a sect. Luchan's heart pounded. He still had 6,000,000 spirit stones. He could buy a lot of cash withdrawal coupons. 1-point coupons costs 200 spirit stones, right? Okay, how many do you have here? When the girl heard this, she suddenly felt that something was wrong. She re-examined the young man in front of her. No matter how she looked at him, he didn't look like an expert. After all, he was just a rogue cultivator who wouldn't join a sect after reaching 2-star. At this moment, she remembered her father saying that a person who entered a business was a customer. She couldn't judge a book by its cover. Those people who judged a book by its cover might mention a stone at any time. Could it be that she met such a stone today? You forget it. I have 25 50 points coupons and 10 100 points coupons. The total is 3,250 points. The cash withdrawal coupons have always been in short supply. We're the only shop nearby that has them. If I buy more, is there a discount? How many do you want? All of them. What's the lowest price? All of them. Are you sure? That's 650,000 spirit stones. I say, big sister, you're doing business. Why do you have so many questions? Just tell me what's the best discount. Oh right, your discount is suitable. Let me see if there's anything else fun in your shop. Facing such a rich man, the girl started to feel nervous. Even that rhubarb dog that was wandering around became exceptionally cute. This. Cough cough. 2-star cultivators can enjoy a 20% discount. In addition, I'll give you a 0.8% discount. That means you can enjoy a 10% discount when you buy from me. Lu Chen shook his head. Only 10%? Then forget it. Goodbye. After saying that, Lu Chen turned around and left without hesitation. Hey, big brother, don't go. I'll give you an internal discount. Lu Chen frowned slightly. He took out a bag of spirit stones from his backpack and weighed it in his hand. You're not honest. I've already said that you'll give me the lowest price. How about this? I'll give you another chance. What's the lowest price? If you're not satisfied, I'll leave. Seeing the heavy bag of spirit stones in Lu Chen's hand, the girl's eyes widened. Why was this wild cultivator so rich? Did he get some treasure? Right now, the initiative was completely on Lu Chen's side. The female boss hesitated for a long time before finally saying, 6.8% discount. This handsome guy, this is really my lowest price. You can go outside and ask around. The lowest price for a 1-point attribute scroll is 150. I'll give you 138 now. Lu Chen actually had no one to ask. However, thinking about it, a 10% discount to 6.8% should be enough. Lu Chen didn't say that he would buy it, but he also didn't say that he wouldn't buy it. Instead, he walked to the front of the tree stump. Only now did he pay attention to the things on it. What exactly could it be that Big Yellow was interested in? Chapter 725. The tree stump was quite artistic. There was a golden round bronze mirror on it, and the vague reflection of Lu Chen and the others was on the mirror. Is this mirror a powerful battle soul magic weapon? Lu Chen asked strangely. Why did you put it in such a conspicuous position? This is a work of art. You see how fine the carvings around it are. The beautiful boss introduced. In fact, I just think it looks good. Lu Chen was speechless. This boss was quite capricious. Lu Chen carefully looked at the carvings around the bronze mirror. It seemed to be 9 strange birds, and there were a few words engraved on the bottom of the bronze mirror. 9 turns golden crow mirror. Is it just an ornament? Well, you can take it. The system will give you an item description. Lu Chen picked up the mirror and found that the mirror was actually very heavy. He had to use both hands to pick it up. 9 turns golden crow mirror. Ancient relic, unknown use. Ancient relic. Lu Chen looked at the mirror in his hand in surprise. He did not understand what was so special about this thing. But Rhubarb took a fancy to this treasure. There must be a reason for it. If I want all the attribute extraction tickets just now plus this bronze mirror, how much is it? If you want this, I will sell it to you for 10,000 spirit stones. The original price is 18,888 spirit stones. No way, you want to sell an ornament for so much. This is not an ordinary ornament. This is an ancient relic. No one can say for sure if an ancient relic has any other effect. You can understand the market, even if it has no effect. Just these 4 words. The starting price is at least 5 figures. Lu Chen nodded. Okay, then calculate the total price. The boss excitedly took out the abacus and kept clicking it, and soon calculated the result. 452,000 spirit stones. 450,000. Okay. In the end, Lu Chen bought the 3,250 attribute points attribute extraction ticket at the price of 450,000 spirit stones, plus this 9 turns golden crow mirror that he did not know the use of. That come to us more often in the future. The boss was like a different person from before. He was particularly enthusiastic and personally sent Lu Chen and Rhubarb out of the shop. The surrounding shops were almost finished, Little Green, and the others also came back. She bought 200,000 medicinal herbs. The medicinal shop owners sent her out like a god of wealth. After shopping, Lu Chen took Little Green, Rhubarb, and the little hairball out of Jinshui County. In the suburbs, Lu Chen quickly found a place and stopped Rhubarb. Rhubarb, what is this? Why do you want this thing? Woof woof woof. Big Yellow was very excited this time. What? You want to refine this thing? Lu Chen looked at Rhubarb puzzledly. Is this guy related to this ancient relic? Then how do I refine it? Lu Chen took out the 9 turns golden crow mirror. There was no explanation on it. While rotating the 9 turns golden crow mirror, the mirror inadvertently shone on Rhubarb, and suddenly the 9 turns golden crow mirror shone brightly. Lu Chen vaguely saw a giant beast in the mirror. The appearance was very vague, but the giant beast was indomitable. He did not know how tall it was. Lu Chen looked at the mirror in shock, and then looked at Rhubarb. The mirror reflected Rhubarb, but it reflected a giant beast. Lu Chen was suddenly stunned. Rhubarb, this can't be your original appearance. Woof. Rhubarb could not explain it clearly, but he knew that there was some kind of connection between himself and this mirror. Rhubarb, then this mirror will be handed over to you. If you need any materials, just tell me. I will get it for you. Lu Chen put the mirror into Rhubarb's backpack. Rhubarb was so happy that his tail kept spinning. When the 9 turns golden crow mirror shone on Lu Chen, there was no reaction at all. It seemed that Lu Chen was not fated to be with it. Fortunately, if it was useful to Rhubarb, that was also a good thing. After all, Rhubarb was also a guy with a physical body. Finding a quiet lake, Lu Chen used all the cash extraction scrolls he had just bought. A total of 3,250 attribute points. Lu Chen thought about it, and decided to add spiritual power this time. Increasing the level of a cultivator could get additional rewards. Lu Chen added 2,900 points to spiritual power. So his spiritual power was exactly 4,000 points, reaching the level of a 5-star wild cultivator. The system rewards were continuously refreshed. Obtained item 30 points attribute extraction scroll *10, leveled up to a 3-star wild cultivator, ranking below 50 million. Obtained item 40 points attribute extraction scroll *10, leveled up to a 4-star wild cultivator, ranking below 20 million. Obtained item 50 points attribute extraction scroll *10, leveled up to a 5-star wild cultivator, ranking below 10 million. There are still 1550 attribute points. I'd better add them to physique. Safety first, after all. Most of the time I don't have soul and body as one. Physique increased by 4650 points. Now Lu Chen's physique had reached 8,200 points, almost breaking through 10,000 points. Why do I feel that leveling up in the 5th heaven is faster than leveling up in the 1st heaven? Leveling up in the 1st heaven only adds a few attribute points. Of course, ordinary people also had to consider the upper limit of the War Soul's attributes. Under the premise of increasing their own strength, they also had to increase the attributes of the War Soul to prevent their upper limit from being too low. However, Lu Chen did not have this worry at all. His War Soul's 3rd dimension was close to 2 million, and his spiritual power was 1 million. It was enough for him to level up for a long time. There are still 10 million people ahead of me. It seems that the 5th heaven is indeed a place with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Just as Lu Chen was planning to rest here and cultivate his mental cultivation method to increase his War Soul's spiritual power, Lu Chen suddenly noticed that in the distant sky, there was a large group of people riding on huge mounts flying in the sky. From the direction of their flight, it seemed that they were heading towards him. What a coincidence! So many people were heading towards him. Lu Chen's first reaction was that they might be people from the Green Dragon sect. Lu Chen suddenly realized, that's strange. If they are people from the Green Dragon sect, why are they looking for me with such fanfare? Aren't they afraid that I'll find out? There was a possibility that this group of people actually only knew Lu Chen's approximate location. As they were unable to determine his exact location, they might as well use their mounts to fly. Since they had many people, they could take turns to change their mounts. Even if Lu Chen saw them, he would definitely not be able to outrun their mounts. It doesn't matter if they are from the Green Dragon sect or not. Let's hide first. After saying that, Lu Chen hurriedly got up and brought Rhubarb and Little Hairy Ball, quickly hiding in the dense forest. However, the strange thing was that when Lu Chen's position changed, those people in the sky also adjusted their flight direction at the same time. They always maintained a straight line towards Lu Chen. Lu Chen's mind was spinning crazily as he sprinted. Could it be that there is a GPS on my body? Lu Chen suddenly felt that there was a high possibility of this. GPS was impossible as that was something from Earth. However, it could be some kind of skill or talisman. Spiritual Qi Minute Subtlety. Lu Chen quickly examined the changes in the spiritual qi around him, and quickly discovered that after he moved, he left behind a faint and strange spiritual qi. This spiritual qi did not dissipate because of Lu Chen's departure. Instead, it lingered in the same place for a long time. Sure enough, I was tricked. Lu Chen's eyes widened. With this spiritual qi, it was no wonder that group of people could track him. At the same time, it also explained why they did not know Lu Chen's exact location. This was because they could only follow the path of the spiritual qi, and had no way of knowing where Lu Chen was. Chapter 726. Lu Chen quickly discovered that the remnant spirit qi was left behind from his back. At this moment, there was no indication on his body that he had been hit. There was also no talisman on his back. It might have disappeared after it took effect. When did I get hit? Lu Chen was slightly angry. He was not angry because he was being tracked, but because he was careless to this extent. It should be when I was killing those Azure Dragon sect disciples. From the Azure Dragon sect's stance, it seems like they are going all out to kill me. Forget it. I have to be more careful in the future. Lu Chen quickly ran while calming himself down. After finding the problem, Lu Chen could easily resolve it. As long as he used Spirit Qi to seal the leakage of Spirit Qi, the Azure Dragon sect people would not be able to find him. The Dragon sect Marquis was currently tracking Sun Long XNZ. Sect Master, the compass shows that Sun Long XNZ has stopped moving in the northwest direction. The Azure Dragon sect needed the help of the compass to track Sun Long XNZ. Furthermore, they could only know the change in direction and not the distance. The Dragon sect Marquis snorted. Humph, his death is coming soon. Wuxia, tell your black-winged bloodbat to move faster. I can't wait to pull out his tendons and peel off his skin. Not long later, the compass showed that Sun Long XNZ was right below them. Why did he stop moving when he saw us? Someone asked in surprise. I'm afraid that his stamina is not enough. As a newbie, having a physique of a few hundred is already not bad. To be able to run so far is already a miracle. The Dragon sect Marquis' gaze turned gloomy. Go down. The black-winged bloodbat swooped down and reached a height of about 100 meters. The high-level cultivators had already jumped down from the sky. The Azure Dragon sect disciple with the compass had already successfully collected the remnant spirit qi of Sun Long XNZ. However, after a few hundred people looked around for a long time, they did not see a single shadow. Where is he? What's going on? The Dragon sect Marquis said angrily. How the fuck did you see the compass? After saying that, he snatched the compass from his subordinate's hand. The compass showed a trajectory, and the estimated end was indeed here. Damn it, it's clearly here. Why is there no one? At this moment, a subordinate hurriedly ran over. Boss, there's a situation over there. Go take a look. Dragon Gate Wuho hurriedly followed the man. On a flat and tilted boulder, someone had carved a few words on the surface of the boulder with a sharp weapon. Stop looking for young master. You won't be able to find me. Don't worry. In 5 days, you don't need to look for me. I Lu Chen will look for you. Prepare 831 coffins. Dragon sect Wuho's eyes were wide open, his eyes were bloodshot. They had been tricked by that brat. Not only that, but that brat had even issued a challenge. 5 days later, he would bathe the Azure Dragon clan in blood. Good, what arrogance. A mere newbie dares to challenge our Azure Dragon school. You're called Luchin, right? My dragon sex Wu Ho will definitely tear you to shreds. Wu Ho roared angrily towards the sky. Everyone continue the search. I don't believe he can run far. Wu Ho was also a ruthless person. Even without Xuanlong Xinzi, he still did not give up on searching for Luchin. A few minutes after they left, Luchin walked out of the forest. Slightly narrowing his eyes, Luchin snorted. You actually didn't fall for it? Originally, he did not plan to return to the Azure Dragon School. It was not worthwhile for him to travel such a long distance back to the Azure Dragon School. After tricking them back, he would do what he wanted to do. In the end, Wu Ho had a rather tenacious spirit, which was out of Luchin's expectations. Since that's the case, then I'll go back. Luchin laughed sinisterly and changed his route. Luchin had already started to go back. Along the way, Luchin hurried during the day and slept in the forest at night while cultivating his spirit energy. The battle soul's attributes could not be ignored. Right now, the battle soul was his main fighting force, and it was also related to Luchin's growth limit. Since he could not obtain the attribute extraction scroll in a short period of time, he would first raise the battle soul's spirit energy. Little Hairy Ball did not run around anymore. Every day, it sat beside Rhubarb and curiously watched Rhubarb look at the mirror. This might be Rhubarb's method of refining the 9 Revolutions Golden Crow mirror. Squeak, squeak, squeak. After Luchin heard it, he could not help but shake his head and said resentfully, Little Hairy Ball, that's Rhubarb's, you can't eat it. Little Hairy Ball could only run to the river to catch fish. On the 4th day, Luchin had already accumulated 40 minutes of soul-body fusion. On this day, he returned to the dragon hunting village. Standing in front of the dragon hunting village, Luchin looked at the big tree in front of the village, and his entire person was stunned. On that big tree, there were more than 100 corpses hanging. Men, women, old and young, from the old to the young, without exception, were all hung on the tree. From time to time, birds and beasts would land on the corpses and gnaw on the corpses. It was a miserable sight. Luchin's whole body trembled. He felt that at this moment, his heart was about to stop. Those villagers were all cruelly killed. He walked step by step to the bottom of the tree. His eyes were already filled with tears. Although they only met once, it was because of Luchin that they died tragically here. Luchin did not expect that a dignified immortal sect would be so crazy that they would not even let these innocent villagers go. They didn't do anything. Luchin roared. Azure Dragon Sect, are you still human? The trunk of the big tree was already dyed red with blood. Luchin saw the old village chief's corpse. He was still holding a letter in his hand. Luchin hurriedly jumped up and took the letter down. This letter was actually written to Luchin. The handwriting was written with blood and was crooked. It seemed to be secretly written. The text needed to be translated to be understood. Immortal Dragon Sex Marshal Marquis is killing our villagers one by one. He said that he knows that you are not related to us. However, since their people were killed here, we should be buried together with them. We resisted. You said before that if we were not afraid of death, why would we not dare to change our own fate? But Dragon Sex Marshal Marquis was even happier. He locked us in the iron cage together with him and crazily slaughtered our people. He cut open their stomachs. His methods were cruel, and he was unscrupulous. It doesn't matter if I am old, but I pity those children. They are still so young. I am sorry that I can't protect them. Heaven and earth are heartless and treat all living things like straw dogs. We are originally lowly existences. However, just because we are lowly, do we have to be treated so cruelly? Don't tell me that we have no feelings. Immortal, I don't know if you can see this letter. I also know that even if the heavens open their eyes and let you see this blood letter, you will think that my request is too much. But perhaps, you are different from other immortals, and you are our only hope. Even if it is a very small hope, it still exists. I beg you, for the 143 people of our dragon hunting village, revenge. Luchin's hands, which were holding the blood letter, were trembling. At a close distance, he saw that almost all of these people's chests had been cut open. He could imagine how they were tortured to death. When Xiao Chen lowered his head, Two streams of green mist gushed out from his temples. An abnormally cold voice, with an extremely low tone, said word by word. Your request is not excessive at all. Tomorrow, I will help you. Wash Azure Dragon Gate with blood. Chapter 727. The Green Dragon clan should know that the old village chief left this letter for Lu Chun, but they let him keep it in his hands. It seemed like they couldn't wait for Lu Chun to see this letter. Lu Chun closed his eyes, calming his emotions a little. He put away the letter and looked at the 100 over villagers on the tree. He saved every villager from the tree, dug a big hole outside the village, and buried them all. The rain poured down, washing the freshly buried grave. Lu Chun found a piece of wood, and using his fingertip as a blade, he wrote a few words. Tomb of 143 people from the dragon hunting village. Standing in front of such a huge grave, Lu Chun let the rain fall on his body. Little Green, Xiaomin Rhubarb, and the little furball stood behind him. No one dared to speak. They had never seen their boss so serious. If I didn't do anything back then, maybe only 4 of you would have died. After a long time, Lu Chun said the guilt in his heart. I'm the one who harmed you. Lu Yi looked at Lu Chun with heartache, stepped forward and said softly, Boss, you can't say that. If you didn't do anything, they would have just lost a lot of young labor, and their situation would only get worse. Sooner or later, they would have been slaughtered by the Green Dragon clan. Yeah, boss. Actually, death isn't the scariest thing. Dying while being numb is the most painful thing. Xiaomin also said, this time at least they resisted. Their minds are no longer enslaved. Lu Chun let out a long sigh. Little Green and Xiaomin were right. However, even though he knew this, Lu Chun still felt guilty. Thinking back to these simple villagers who didn't close their doors at night, before he left, they even gave him their treasures. They were all kind people. However, the kind people were wantonly killed. Lu Chun remembered what the king of the wild monsters had said to him. Nobles, generals, and ministers were all equal. Did those lowly people deserve to die? After a long time, Lu Chun raised his head. Let's go. Boss, where are we going? Green Dragon Clan. Lu Chun calmly said these 3 words. Originally, Lu Chun only wanted to use a diversion tactic to trick the Dragon Clan's martial marquis. But now, he really stepped on the road to the Green Dragon Clan. The Green Dragon Clan was still quite a distance away from the dragon hunting village. On the afternoon of the 5th day, Lu Chun's first soul-body fusion time had passed. Lu Chun had accumulated a full soul-body fusion time. Not far ahead stood a verdant mountain peak. It was 700 to 800 meters tall, and was the highest peak in the vicinity. Green Dragon Clan's name is Green Dragon Clan's Green Dragon Clan. Lu Chun's Green Dragon Clan's Green Dragon Clan. Green. 6 days ago, the Dragon Gate's martial marquis personally led the sect to chase after Lu Chun. However, they were all empty-handed. After searching for a few more days, they still couldn't find that guy. Thinking about the words Lu Chun had written on the stone, although he did not know if Lu Chun would really come or not, it was still better than searching for him mindlessly. Immediately after, the Dragon Gate martial marquis brought his people and returned to the Azure Dragon School at the appointed time. However, after waiting for half a day, he still did not see Lu Chun. The Dragon Sect's martial marquis was in a rage at the martial arts stage. Damn it, I was tricked by this brat again. Lu Chun, don't let me catch you. If I catch you, I'll definitely play you to death. Everyone in the sect was also filled with righteous indignation. What method did he use to discover the Xuanlong messenger? This is really infuriating. He actually played our Azure Dragon School in circles by himself. No matter how slow he is, he should be out of the Azure Dragon School's territory. I'm afraid it will be difficult to find him in the future. At this moment, the entire Azure Dragon Mountain suddenly shook violently. Everyone hurriedly looked down the mountain. At this moment, a red-clothed white-haired man was quickly rushing over from the foot of the mountain. Wherever he passed, the lower-level disciples who tried to stop him were all instantly killed without exception. Who is that? There's an ID above his head. It's solipsistic. Could it be Lu Chun's battle soul form? Lu Chun. He really came. Sect leader. He killed quite a few sect disciples. The Dragon Gate's Marshal Marquis eyes were already red. He said coldly, just kill those trash. They don't have any strength. It just so happens that they can consume some of the time when his soul form fusion is in effect. Ha 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 ha, this is great. Lu Chen, you're finally here. I was afraid that you wouldn't come. This is great. I can finally vent my anger. Everyone, will wait for him at the martial arts stage. At this time, Lu Chen had already killed more than 200 people. These people were all one-star cultivators. Although being a one-star cultivator didn't mean that his battle soul was weak, from another point of view, people with strong battle souls shouldn't find it too difficult to earn money. They would also obtain more sect contributions from the gangs. Naturally, their star level wouldn't be low. Therefore, in most cases, a person's cultivation star level could reflect their overall strength. Besides, Lu Chen did not care about the other party's background. With the godly demon Limitless sword in hand, he had transformed into a demonic god. You are immortals? Then I am a demon. Lu Chen angrily roared as he pierced a man's head with his sword. Even if they were in soul-body unification, in front of Lu Chen, these people would not be able to withstand Lu Chen's several hundred million attacks. With Lu Chen's stats, he was able to solo boss level opponents, such as the 15 billion HP Lunar Nether Glow. The Limitless sword directly shot out of the man's head. Lu Chen used triple door, catching the Limitless sword with one hand and grabbing with the other. I'm all ears. Before the person beside him could understand what was going on, his body was involuntarily sucked towards Lu Chen. Psionic space cannon. Lu Chen fired a cannon at his chest. Flesh and blood flew everywhere. These strong people from level 4 had also gone through many battles. However, even the top level 4 expert, the Holy War Demon Lord, still had the upper hand when Lu Chen was seriously injured a few years ago. Moreover, Lu Chen's strength had increased again, and he had killed the Lunar Nether Glow. Even if Lu Chen didn't fully activate his status, killing them would be as easy as flipping his hand. Unfortunately, level 5 didn't display the damage value. They could only see that as long as they were targeted by Lu Chen, they would be killed in one move. Oh my god, what kind of damage is this? It's too scary. Senior brother Chen told me that his battle soul had 500 million HP. How could he be killed in one move? It's impossible. Is he still a human? Wait, when did he become a 5-star wild cultivator? Didn't they say that he had just arrived at level 5? Is he Lu Chen? It should be. Senior brother Fong, and the others also mentioned in the message before they died that Lu Chen's battle soul was called solipsistic. It's definitely this person. When he fought with the Azure Dragon sect, Lu Chen didn't raise his cultivation level at all. Naturally, he didn't have a star rank. Why hasn't the sect leader sent someone over yet? I understand. He wants us to help him stall for time. He's using our lives to waste this guy's soul-body fusion. At this moment, a white face appeared in front of this person. Lu Chen's voice sounded, how you treat others one day, others will treat you the same way. Unfortunately, I don't sympathize with you. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. Psionic space cannon. The red figure's white hair flashed, and this person suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. When he lowered his head again, his entire chest had been blasted open, and he could even see the scene on the other side. Chapter 728. Their bodies were blasted into nothingness, but they might not die immediately. They would still have to bear the sudden pain in their body and mind. They were cruel to the villagers, but Lu Chen's cruelty did not lose to theirs. The remaining few Azure Dragon sect disciples were so scared that their faces turned pale. In their opinion, they usually killed those commoners, no different from wild boars and dogs. But now, solipsistic was killing immortal cultivators. This was like people seeing chickens being killed. They did not feel anything. But seeing people being killed, the shock was naturally different. At this moment, their minds were already trembling, and their faces were pale. Too scary. Is he still human? This guy he is so ruthless. Who was he in the past? A great heaven general of the immortal army. No, even if he is a great heaven general, other than a few races, he is not much stronger than us. This guy is at the 4th layer of heaven. Even if he is a great heaven general, there is only death in front of him. Impossible. How can there be such a powerful demon? Great heaven general? All the races in the 4th layer of heaven had to worship Lu Chen. The current 4th layer of heaven followed the new rules set by Lu Chen. Within 10 minutes, Lu Chen had already killed almost all of these 200 people. In the soul and body fusion state, Lu Chen did not even need to use all his strength to kill these 200 people. Now there was only one person left standing in front of Lu Chen, trembling. The long sword in his hand was trembling violently. Seeing the white-haired man walking over, the sword in his hand fell to the ground with a clang. Immediately, he knelt in front of Lu Chen. So sorry, Lu. No, solipsistic. I am only an ordinary disciple of Azure Dragon sect. It was not me who wanted to kill you. Please don't kill me. Lu Chen stood in front of this person, his eyes cold. Kill me? You are not worthy. Moreover, I will not destroy your Azure Dragon sect just because you want to kill me. That person hurriedly said. Then solipsistic, if it wasn't because of this why did you massacre my Azure Dragon school? Why would I want to kill you? Lu Chen twirled his sword. Do you even need to ask? Because you all deserve to die. Just as he finished speaking, a sword flashed, and that person's head was separated from his body. The head did not die immediately. He could still see the solipsistic walking towards the top of the mountain. Damn it. This was the only reason Lu Chen could give. Green Dragon Mountain Dragon Stage. At this moment, more than 500 Azure Dragon School disciples were gathered here, and there was no lack of 3, 4, and 5-star cultivators among them. The leader was a man with a stocky build. His height was about the same as Lu Chen's current form. He held a giant axe in his hand that glowed with a faint silver light. Without a doubt, that was an immortal weapon. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the entrance of the dragon stage. The air seemed to be compressed by this tense atmosphere. Not long after, a red-robed, white-haired man slowly walked over from the other side of the dragon stage. He held a black and white dual-colored sword in his right hand. His red eyes were like blood. Facing the 548 Azure Dragon School disciples, he calmly walked over step by step until he stood in the middle of the dragon stage. You are Lu Chen. Dragon Sect Marshal Marquis said coldly. You killed my Azure Dragon School's outer sect disciples, and also killed 283 of my first stage disciples. In total, you killed 290 of my disciples. At this point, Dragon Sect Marshal Marquis' eyes were filled with killing intent. Lu Chen snorted. So what if it's me? Not only did I kill 290 of your disciples, I also want to flatten your Azure Dragon School. Ha 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 ha. What a good flatten Azure Dragon School. You are the most arrogant person I have ever seen. Marshal Marquis narrowed his eyes. Your battle soul is indeed very strong, but so what? This is the 5th layer of heaven. How long do you have left with your battle soul? Can you fight against so many of us? Lu Chen slightly raised his chin. So when you saw your inner sect disciples being killed by me, but did not dare to come down the mountain to fight, you wanted to waste more of my time? That's right. Lions and tigers use all their strength to hunt rabbits. Those people are weak. I can find them at any time in the future. To be able to sacrifice for the sect is their honor. Lu Chen could not help but sneer. As expected, this is your way of survival. No wonder you treat the surrounding civilians like that. Civilians? Are you talking about those pigs and dogs? You can't be risking your life to barge into my Azure Dragon School because of them, right? Dragon Sect Marshal Marquis laughed wildly, as if he had heard some shocking news. Ha 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 ha. I never thought that there would be such a foolish person. For those animals, you don't even care about your own life. Oh, that's right. After you were trapped, I captured all the villagers of Dragon Hunting Village and locked them in cages. You don't know, once I went in, I killed them to my heart's content. Didn't I kill them all in one go? I played with them slowly. I used my hands to cut open their stomachs and pulled out. Lu Chen looked indifferently at Dragon Sect Marshal Marquis. Is a person like you worthy of becoming an immortal? A person like me? Are you looking down on me? I'm sorry. It's a person like me who can gather resources to the extreme. Only by being in an invincible position, in the fifth heavenly layer. Dragon Sect Martial Marquis said angrily. Lu Chen, you are very strong. But don't think that we have not improved at all after being in the fifth heavenly layer for so long. As long as you are in my Dragon Sect's mountain world, you have to pay your respects to my Dragon Sect Martial Marquis. Do you really think that I only know how to clamor? Lu Chen curled his lips. I really hope that the cultivation technique in your hands is stronger than your mouth. However, the result is the same. Today, I will use the lives of 831 people in your Azure Dragon Mountain to pay for the 143 lives of Dragon Hunting Village. In my eyes, your lives are much more lowly than theirs. Lu Chen compared him to the lowly people of Dragon Hunting Village, and even inferior to them. This caused Dragon Sect Martial Marquis to be furious. Good. I want to see what kind of ability you have. Disciples of Azure Dragon Sect, listen up, Lunar Dragon Trapping Array. The disciples quickly took their positions on the dragon stage and surrounded Lu Chen. Their positions were also very particular. From a bird's eye view, their formation was actually similar to the formation used by the Lunar Nether Glow to trap the enemy. Lu Chen, when I obtained the recognition of the Lunar Nether Glow, I obtained this powerful formation. This formation is the Dragon Trapping Array used by the Lunar Nether Glow. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Lunar Nether Glow? You are telling me about the recognition of the Lunar Nether Glow? Another 5-star cultivator other than Dragon Sect Martial Marquis shouted at Lu Chen. That's right. It is the Lunar Nether Glow. Back then, our sect leader obtained the recognition of the Emperor, which is why he was able to obtain such a treasure and establish the foundation of Azure Dragon Sect. In the Emperor's recognition, it sounds very powerful. It seems that you are indeed an expert. Lu Chen nodded thoughtfully. That person shouted coldly. Your tone is so sour. How many levels of recognition did you obtain from the Lunar Nether Glow? Lu Chen shook his head. Unfortunately, it did not say what level of recognition. At that time, the Lunar Nether Glow did indeed mention that it recognized Lu Chen's strength. As for what level of recognition, there was naturally no need to say. You have already killed them, and you still want me to give you what level of recognition. Chapter 729. At this time, the people of Azure Dragon School had already laid down the Lunar Dragon Trapping Array, surrounding Lu Chen. Speaking of trapping dragons, the Lunar Nether Glow's identity was even more honorable than a dragon. This array had some of the attributes of the Lunar Nether Glow's true body, such as being unable to use teleportation techniques to break through. Solipsistic. Let's see how long you can last in the Lunar Dragon Trapping Array. Dragon School's Wu Ho said proudly. I can't wait to torture you. Lu Chen sneered. It's just an imitation of the Lunar Nether Glow's array, and you really think it's invincible. At that time, Lu Chen was unable to break through the Lunar Nether Glow's dragon trapping array, because the Lunar Nether Glow's body could not be attacked. And at that time, Lu Chen did not put his attention on breaking the array. But now, Azure Dragon School's Lunar Dragon Trapping Array was different. This was an array formed by Azure Dragon School's disciples, standing at the center of the array. The difficulty of breaking the array was not on the same level as the Lunar Nether Glow, as long as it was broken one by one. However, a big change in the Lunar Dragon Trapping Array was that after the Lunar Nether Glow trapped the enemy, it would often be followed by the Lunar Star Extermination. Azure Dragon School did not have the Star Extermination, so these people used their own attack methods to make up for it. Attack! Following Wu Ho's order, more than 500 people made their moves at the same time, and countless techniques poured down on Lu Chen. Lu Chen snorted. Heaven's Eye. Opening the Heaven's Eye, Lu Chen quickly entered the spiritual energy subtlety state, using his own spiritual energy to dissolve the opponent's attacks. Hundreds of techniques bombarded Lu Chen's body, but they were unable to get close to him, only exploding beside him. How is this possible? It's spiritual energy subtlety. Impossible. He's just a mere cultivator. How can he have spiritual energy subtlety? Wu Ho's eyes trembled. This guy just came from the fourth layer of heaven, And he's just a wild cultivator. How could he be so skilled in spiritual energy subtlety? Could it be that he learned it at the fourth layer of heaven? Impossible. The fourth layer of heaven, only the concept of sword intent has appeared. It's impossible for spiritual energy subtlety to appear. However, no matter how many there were, it was impossible. When so many people saw with their own eyes that hundreds and thousands of skills were thrown over, they couldn't help but believe it. It's said that those who can enter chi refinement are invincible within the fourth firmament. Who the hell is this guy? What should we do? The war soul skill can't hurt him. Wu Ho was also someone who refused to admit defeat. Facing his own side that was in chaos, he suddenly bellowed, "What are you all shouting for? There are so many of us, why should we be afraid of him?" Although it was rare to see spiritual energy entering the microscopic realm, it wasn't invincible. Once the fusion process ends, it will be the time of his death. The most frightening thing about the fifth heavenly layer was that the battle soul would run out of time. Not only did Wu Ho instill this tactic into all the disciples of the sect, but when he used it himself, he also displayed it to the extreme. Although Wu Ho was fierce and brutal, he was not stupid at all. Taking advantage of the fact that the disciples were temporarily delaying Lu Chun, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He just came to the fifth heavenly layer and didn't even leave the boundary of our Azure Dragon school. So his spiritual energy subtlety must have been learned in the fourth heavenly layer. Since that's the case, what he has grasped is not the real spiritual energy subtlety, but the War Soul World's spiritual energy subtlety. The War Soul World's spiritual energy subtlety, which means he can only sense the War Soul skill's spiritual energy. Thinking of this, Wu Ho suddenly used his giant axe to sweep out a sword chi, directly attacking Lu Chun. Previously, the solipsistic sword chi was still resisting other skills with ease, but he actually relied on dodging to avoid his sword chi. This move of his was not a killing move, but a casual move. The purpose was to test Lu Chen's actual situation, and as a result, he really found out Lu Chen's weakness. Lu Chen's spiritual energy subtlety was temporarily unable to take effect on the main body. It had to be said that Wu Ho was also a person who had experienced hundreds of battles. In the first moment, he thought of a way to deal with spiritual energy subtlety. Spiritual energy subtlety was not a cultivation technique, nor was it an equipment. It was just a kind of realm. After entering this realm, the user could carefully perceive the flow of spiritual energy and control the movement of spiritual energy in their body. In actual combat, they could use this method to use their own spiritual energy to counteract external skills. Just like sword intent, or ultimate sword intent, after entering this realm, the speed of the sword would greatly increase, and the control would be firmer, and the sword would follow the heart. However, if Lu Chun learned spiritual energy subtlety in the fourth celestial layer, then its biggest flaw was that the fourth celestial layer was the process of the player's war soul cultivation, and the skills learned in there were also used to deal with the war soul. Previously, Xian Yuanzi had also said that spiritual energy subtlety was an existence that subverted the fourth celestial layer, and it did not include the fifth celestial layer. It seemed that this was where the problem lay. As the person involved, Lu Chun was surprised to avoid a normal sword chi among the many attacks. He had originally intended to counterattack, but the sword chi suddenly swept over, causing his movements to slow down by half a beat. He actually did not perceive the sword chi's flow of spiritual energy. Lu Chun was somewhat flabbergasted. Not far away, Wu Ho's voice caused Lu Chun to awaken from his shock. Azure Dragon Clan disciples, listen to my orders, all 1- and 2-star disciples. Withdraw from the soul-body fusion state, and use physical attacks to exhaust the solipsistic. All the low-level disciples had faces of astonishment. Using physical bodies to fight the war soul? Wasn't that just seeking death? What are you still standing there for? The Azure Dragon Clan has nurtured you for so long, training soldiers for 1,000 days to use them in a single moment. Today is the day you all fight for the Azure Dragon Clan. The solipsistic subtlety is not the real spiritual energy subtlety. It can only deal with the war soul skills, and is unable to resolve physical attacks. There are so many of us. If each of us were to use a sword, he would not be able to dodge. Moreover, there is the protection of the lunar dragon trapping array. Quickly withdraw from the soul-body fusion state. The duration of the soul-body fusion state was originally short, and regardless of whether it accumulated for 10 minutes or an hour, it had to be used in one go. Withdrawing from the state in the middle meant that the soul-body fusion state had to start from zero. At this moment, all the participating Azure Dragon Clan disciples were in the soul-body fusion state. Only the 2 5-star cultivators in the clan had not entered the soul-body fusion state. When they had exhausted enough of Lu Chen's time, when the time came for them to go on stage, victory would be in their grasp. Now that the sect leader had given the order, the disciples did not dare to disobey, and those 1-star and 2-star disciples all withdrew from the soul-body fusion state. Lu Chen immediately frowned. Withdraw from the soul-body fusion state? Wu Ho, you don't care about the life and death of the sect's disciples, and let them use their lives as the price to exhaust me. While you only know how to hide behind, you really don't deserve to be the sect leader. You Azure Dragon Clan people, just because someone called you immortal, you really think you are superior? Looking at it now, you are just dogs raised by that guy. You are even inferior to those villagers who dare to resist. 3 lives reincarnation. Lu Chen immediately used 3 lives reincarnation, transforming the War Soul's rebirth into an attack and attribute increase. However, telling you all this now is useless. Today, no one in your Azure Dragon Clan can survive. Lu Chen shouted in a low voice. 7 stars chasing the moon. Many people had already withdrawn from the soul-body fusion state, and Lu Chen was unable to capture the changes in their techniques. On the other hand, there were still the 3-star and above advanced disciples, who were in the War Soul fusion state. Their current mission was to protect the lower-level disciples, so that they would not die too quickly. He still has 20 minutes of soul-body fusion state. No matter what, you have to stop him. Wu Ho shouted hysterically from behind the lunar dragon trapping array. The lunar dragon trapping array, and more than 500 disciples blocking in front. Blocking the solipsistic for 20 minutes should not be a problem. At the very least, he and the vice sect leader would work together to exhaust him for a few minutes, and that should be enough. This time, the solipsistic would definitely die. Chapter 730. To be able to dominate a region with the lunar dragon trapping formation. The lunar dragon trapping formation was indeed extraordinary. These people could quickly teleport to any point within the lunar dragon trapping formation. Furthermore, the formation had a warning effect similar to a technique. Every time Lu Chen raised his hand and prepared to kill someone, the opponent would be able to predict it in advance and dodge to another formation point. Solipsistic, weren't you very arrogant just now? Didn't you want to kill all of us? What happened now? Why can't you touch a single person? Dragon trapping formation. This can even trap a dragon. Who do you think you are? To think you can break my dragon trapping formation. Dream on. Yes, just like that. Don't fight him head on. Rely on the dragon trapping formation to stall for time. Wu Ho shouted excitedly. As time passed, the situation became more and more advantageous for him. Lu Chen also did not expect that this Wu Ho was not only savage, but also extremely wretched. He was a typical coward. Hall Masters, let's use the Heaven's Might Divine Omen combined technique. He may not be able to block the Heaven's Might attack. A few 4-star cultivators gathered power at the same time. Suddenly, the clouds above Lu Chen's head seemed to have been pierced by something. A huge white light pillar, with a diameter of 20 to 30 meters poured down from the sky. Lu Chen frowned. Combined Heaven's Might attack? To be able to come to the 5th layer of heaven, they must have some ability. The strength of this attack seemed to be quite terrifying. There were many types of Heaven's Might attacks. Everyone's Heaven's Might was different. From the looks of it, this Heaven's Might Divine Omen was a rarely seen combined technique. This was Lu Chen's first time encountering it. The opponent's Heaven's Might attack contained surging spirit energy. Since there was spirit energy movement, Lu Chen still had the confidence to deal with the combined Heaven's Might technique of a few 4-star cultivators. But this Heaven's Might Divine Omen's Heaven's Might was astonishing. In a short period of time, it might even be above star extermination. Lu Chen needed to focus on dealing with it. The white light smashed down like a substance. Lu Chen quickly adjusted his state and used spirit energy to resist the attack. No way, he can block the combined Heaven's Might attack. What the hell is this guy? Don't panic, at least it's much more difficult for him to block this attack compared to before. Everyone else continued to attack. The war spirit will use offense as a form of defense. Everyone else, pay attention to evading. As long as he attacks any point, immediately use the dragon trapping array's displacement to dodge. This guy's attack damage is too terrifying. We can't afford to be careless. Remember, our mission is to stall Solipsistic. He has less than 20 minutes left. The more Lu Chen fought, the angrier he got. In the past battles, no matter how strong or weak the opponent was, the two sides would exchange blows head-on and head-on, exchanging blows without restraint. However, the Azure Dragon School's people were like a ball of cotton. They couldn't feel anything even if they used all their strength. 500 people against me. And they actually used such a despicable method. The Azure Dragon School really lives up to its reputation, Lu Chen said angrily. Despicable? Only the living had the right to speak. No one would listen to the nonsense of a dead person. Solipsistic, do you really think it's so easy to barge into a sect? My Azure Dragon School has been developing for 20 years. Even a strong dragon cannot suppress a snake in its own territory. You want to destroy my Azure Dragon School as soon as you arrive at the 5th layer of heaven? Dream on. Today, I will make you unable to return. Wu Ho hooted. The man beside him suddenly said to Wu Ho, Sect leader, this Solipsistic is definitely a peak existence in the 4th heaven. However, we have been in the 5th heaven for so many years. In the 5th heaven, the Heaven's Might techniques can combine with each other to form a new combined technique. This is something that the 4th heaven does not have. Just now, the 8 Hall Masters' combined Heaven's Might technique seemed to have a good effect. Wu Ho nodded his head. He had already seen the might of the Heaven's Might Divine Omen. The 8 Hall Masters who were not too strong were actually able to combine their Heaven's Might technique to create such a terrifying might within 20 seconds. It could be seen that the combined Heaven's Might technique was another huge upgrade between the 5th heaven and the low-level heaven domain. To fight this newcomer, they naturally had to use their advantage to the maximum. The vice sect leader continued, Our soul-body fusion is sufficient for now. Why don't we deal with this guy together? As long as we wait for his soul-body fusion to end, he will be at our mercy. Wu Ho glanced at Lu Chen in the middle of the formation and smiled. That's good too. I can't wait any longer. Let's go, let's go. The 2 5-star cultivators entered the soul-body fusion state at the same time and quickly joined the lunar nether fluorescence formation. Sect leader and second leader are here. That's great. Looks like this time our victory is in our grasp. Everyone work harder. Guard the dragon trapping formation well. As long as the dragon trapping formation is here, the Solipsistic is like a turtle in a jar. Although the Azure Dragon Sect's people were unable to harm Lu Chen, what gave Lu Chen a headache was the lunar trapping formation's early warning and position shifting effects. This formation was a simulation of the lunar nether fluorescence dragon trapping formation's effects. However, the Azure Dragon Sect's disciples at the various points of the formation were the lunar nether fluorescence's bodies. They did not have the nihility body, but the dragon trapping formation cleverly used the early warning and position shifting effects to imitate the nihility body's effects to the greatest extent. Adding on the fact that this group of people persisted in following Wu Ho's tactics, Lu Chen had nowhere to vent his anger. After persevering for 10 minutes, Lu Chen's soul-body fusion state was only left with 9 minutes. Ha 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 ha, Solipsistic Lu Chen, are you very depressed? You're very strong, right? But you still have to die in our hands. Come take revenge for those pigs and dogs. Where's your heroism from the beginning? You're already prepared to die. Wait until the soul-body fusion state ends. I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. Lu Chen's eyes widened in anger, but he also reminded himself to remain calm. 9 minutes is still enough. If I can break the lunar nether fluorescence's killing technique, then I can break theirs. After repeated observation, Lu Chen had already discovered that the dragon trapping formation's interior seemed to have a kind of spiritual energy refinement function. As long as he prepared to attack, the formation would be able to lock onto his target and send out an early warning to that person. Under the early warning, that person would naturally quickly teleport, directly causing Lu Chen to lose his target. This way, some of the sure-hit skills would be unable to take effect. The dragon trapping formation had a lot of effective positions. Even if a few group attacks caused dozens of people to change their positions at the same time, after they changed their positions, they could still maintain the formation's normal operation. So to break this formation, I must clearly see the entire formation. Thinking of this, Lu Chen suddenly grew a pair of wings on his back, wanting to quickly escape towards the sky. After fusing with the encounter victory inherent skill, Lu Chen's flying speed increased sharply, and he even had the ability to accelerate in the air. Run towards the sky. There's no way out in the dragon trapping formation. Continue to lock onto him with your skills. Don't give him any chance to breathe. As expected, Lu Chen flew to a height of 300 meters and was unable to continue flying upwards. He should be trapped in the dragon trapping formation. But at this height, Lu Chen could see the situation of the Azure Dragon School's formation. Lu Chen took out the spatial spiritual energy cannon and shouted, "Fierce tiger descends the mountain. Fire suppression." Chapter 731. 50 powerful spiritual energy cannons fell from the sky and bombarded the entire stage. As the spiritual energy cannons had a certain range of attack, under 50 consecutive shots, it was already comparable to an area of effect skill. Facing such a terrifying aerial bombardment, the Azure Dragon School's disciples opened their eyes wide in fear. Is this still a skill released by a single person? Don't talk nonsense, dodge. Suppressive fire. The skill's effect was like its name, directly suppressing the opponent's attack, forcing them to dodge first. A large area of Azure Dragon School's disciples quickly changed their positions with the help of the lunar dragon trapping array. Lu Chen frowned. This time, he had a rough understanding of the lunar dragon trapping array's complete array. Other than the center of the dragon trapping array, there were a large number of array eyes on the periphery, like a star disk, faintly forming the complete form of the lunar nether glow. The dragon trapping array was indeed an array that imitated the lunar nether glow skill. Because there were a large number of empty positions, Lu Chen was unable to predict which direction they would be teleported to, so naturally, he was unable to hit the target. Now, it seemed that it was a waste of time to lock onto each individual's movement pattern. Therefore, I must attack the entire dragon trapping array, covering all possible teleportation points. Lu Chen took a deep breath. Not bad, this dragon trapping array is really interesting. It's a pity that you met me. Spiritual energy storm, suppressive fire, unlimited attack. After grasping the method to break the array, Lu Chen finally burst out with the terrifying power of a war soul. 50 spiritual energy cannons bombarded the ground indiscriminately. Everyone had just dodged, but the next round of attacks had already arrived. The spiritual energy cannons bombarded the lunar dragon trapping array indiscriminately. Facing the earth-shattering spiritual energy cannons, Dragon School's Martial Marquis eyes were wide open. His face was full of disbelief. Impossible. This kind of attack can't be used infinitely. Even if there are magic treasures to reduce cooldown, it's impossible. His spiritual energy can't keep up. The biggest weakness of unlimited skills was the exhaustion of spiritual energy, but Lu Chen had the pseudo-divine equipment Mukin bead, which made up for the biggest weakness of unlimited skills. In the past, Lu Chen couldn't seamlessly connect to the spirit force storm in battle. However, in the process of comprehending spirit force, he had to constantly replenish his spirit core. This also trained Lu Chen's ability to connect to the spirit force storm in battle. With the unlimited supply of spiritual energy, and the infinite space spiritual energy cannon, Lu Chen had transformed into the king of destruction. With his own strength, he launched a fierce attack on the entire lunar dragon trapping formation. Under such a ferocious attack, the Azure Dragon School disciples could no longer keep up with Lu Chen's speed. Some of them had already been instantly killed. What kind of spiritual energy cannon is this? What's the damage? Senior brother Zhang was killed in one shot even with soul body as one? Oh my god, this is the end of the world. The dragon trapping formation's warning system has gone crazy. Every point is his target. Why is there such a terrifying monster? Is this guy even human? AoE attack, no cooldown, unlimited usage, and even a single shot could deal such high damage. Who could bear this? Boom, 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 boom. The rumbling sounds had already merged into one, and there was no gap between them. Under the indiscriminate bombardment, the entire Azure Dragon Mountain was sent flying, and the flames lit up the sky. In the distance, a group of immortal cultivators looked in the direction of Azure Dragon Mountain and looked at each other. Senior brother, that seems to be the direction of Azure Dragon Mountain. What happened there? Why is there such a terrifying celestial phenomenon? That doesn't seem to be a celestial phenomenon. A man in white frowned. The spiritual energy over there is chaotic. There should be someone fighting over there. Fighting? A beautiful woman's face was full of suspicion. That's impossible. How many people are fighting to cause such a big commotion? Is it a decisive battle between level 4 factions? Yeah, could it be a high-star powerhouse fighting over there? But I heard that the Azure Dragon School has a very powerful formation. Even a high-star powerhouse wouldn't dare to provoke them easily. The senior brother shook his head. I don't know what happened over there. Let's go and take a look. On Azure Dragon Mountain, more and more Azure Dragon disciples fell under Lu Chen's indiscriminate attacks. No matter if it was soul-body fusion or in their original state, as long as they were hit by the spiritual energy cannon, there was only one outcome, and that was instant death. One by one, their battle souls were annihilated. One by one, their corpses fell into a pool of blood. The entire dragon stage had become unrecognizable. Even the mountaintop was much shorter. After a few minutes of continuous attacks, Lu Chen finally stopped. The dragon stage was already in a mess. Corpses were everywhere, and broken limbs were everywhere. The lunar dragon trapping array was already destroyed by Lu Chen at an unknown time. With a cold snort, Lu Chen dived down and landed on the ground again. Looking at the hundreds of corpses around him, Lu Chen's eyes showed no mercy. These so-called immortals, in Lu Chen's eyes, were not worth pitying. But where was Wu Ho's corpse? Lu Chen looked back and forth, but did not see Wu Ho from Dragon Sect. Ran away. Impossible. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. Although he attacked indiscriminately, if someone escaped from Azure Dragon Mountain, he would definitely discover it. At this moment, Lu Chen's soul-body fusion had ended. Although he was still in his white-haired state, his attributes had already returned to normal. Not good, I've run out of time. Heaven's Eye. Heaven's Eye could allow Lu Chen to enter the subtle state of spirit energy. It could also see through disguises, and even see things that normal people could not. However, Heaven's Eye could not see through things. Everything had spirit energy, not to mention these people who had just died. Their bodies were also emitting spirit energy. Lu Chen looked around, and did not find any suspicious changes in spirit energy. He frowned. Don't tell me I still have to spend time chasing after Wu Ho from Dragon Sect. At this moment, a few corpses not far away suddenly moved. Lu Chen immediately opened his eyes wide, and looked in that direction. Someone pushed the corpses away from below and walked out. Following that, the same thing happened in other places. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. These guys actually used other people's corpses as a cover to escape the explosion, and also avoided Lu Chen's Heaven's Eye detection. Moreover, they still carried out their wretched tactics until the end. Only when Lu Chen's soul-body fusion had completely disappeared did they appear. Those who could survive naturally had some strength. There were a total of 10 people. 8 Hall Masters were 4-star cultivators, 2 were 5-star cultivators, 1 was the vice leader, and the last person was Wu Ho from Dragon Sect. Solipsistic method. You actually broke the lunar dragon trapping array. I admit that we have underestimated you. You are indeed very strong. A hall master gritted his teeth and said. But then he changed the topic. You actually destroyed our Azure Dragon Sect's 20 years of foundation. But so what? Your soul-body fusion has already been used up, and we still have time. No matter how strong you are, you will still die in our hands in the end. Although these people were lucky to survive, it seemed that their battle souls and physical bodies had suffered different degrees of damage. Even so, with their battle souls in this state, they were still much stronger than Lu Chun in his original state. The people on the opposite side were closing in on him. Chapter 732. Lu Chun rubbed his nose and shook his head. Sigh, I was still too careless. I didn't grasp the time well, and my experience is still too little. In reality, Lu Chen's 1 hour was more than enough for a normal fight. Who knew that these guys from the Azure Dragon sect would be so wretched with more than 800 people? Adding on a very strong lunar dragon trapping array, it really brought some trouble to Lu Chen. Ha 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 ha, solipsistic, it's too late to regret now. Even if we are injured, we are still not something you can handle. Are you ready? Next is the real show. However, Lu Chen didn't know when a small white field mouse appeared in his hand, and it was squeaking at Lu Chen nonstop. The little fur ball seemed to be particularly restless, as it kept asking to fight. Lu Chen thought for a while. Actually, I might not be unable to beat them. Squeak squeak squeak. It is a bit dangerous, but forget it. Since you want to fight so much, then I'll leave the rest to you. You should also be careful. Don't be careless, okay? Squeak squeak squeak. So confident? Lu Chen was rather surprised. All right, I'll leave it to you. But I still have a request, the one who looks the strongest. Lu Chen's eyes stared at Dragon Sect's Wu Ho and fiercely said, Don't let him die too quickly. The little fur ball naturally understood Lu Chen's meaning. Boss wanted it to properly entertain this VIP. Dragon Sect's Wu Ho was the beast of the dragon hunting village. This enmity must be avenged, so it could not be easily let die. Wu Ho and the rest looked at Lu Chen in astonishment. Although this guy was blaming himself for using up his soul-body fusion too early, there was not a trace of panic on his face. On the contrary, this guy had a leisurely look and was full of confidence. His conversation with the inconspicuous mouse made everyone even more puzzled. In the 5th layer of heaven, Beast Tamer and Puppet Master's battle pets could only fight when their soul-body fusion was used. But Solipsistic actually wanted that mouse to deal with them? Ha 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 ha, Solipsistic, I think you're crazy. How dare you place your hopes on such a trashy pet? It's just a field mouse. Not to mention my divine beast battle pet. Even the lowest level wild monster battle pet is much stronger than it. I think I just heard the funniest joke I've heard this year. Letting a white mouse fight us. These creatures can only be used as food in Jiotian. Lu Chen looked up at these people. They didn't seem to know what they were about to face. You're saying it's trash of trash? They can only be used as ingredients in Jiotian? Lu Chen had never heard of this before. Someone said that little fur ball was trash among trash. And they even said that they wanted to use it as an ingredient? Lu Chen couldn't help but look at the little fur ball. No one was clearer than Lu Chen about the strength of a divine beast battle pet. To put it bluntly, little furball's strength could crush any ultimate divine beast. Perhaps when the beast deity fused, he didn't know if it would be qualified to compete with him. As for ingredients, that was even more ridiculous. It was completely wrong. Up until now, if it weren't for Lu Chen controlling little fur ball, who knew what else little fur ball would let go of except for dead things? It was even greedy for rhubarb's treasures. It was no wonder that every time Lu Chen let little fur ball go out alone, he had to warn it what it couldn't eat. Little guy, it's time to prove your strength. Don't forget what I said just now. This time you can do whatever you want, Lu Chen said lightly. Go. After saying that, Lu Chen gently put little fur ball on the ground, took a few steps back, and simply sat there cross-legged to watch the show. The few figures had already arrived at the foot of Green Dragon Mountain. As soon as they arrived at the mountain gate, The five-man team was shocked by the scene in front of them. On the mountain road of Green Dragon Gate, there were mutilated corpses everywhere. These corpses died miserably, and almost none of them were intact. The mountain road was already dyed red with blood, and a strong smell of blood permeated the air. Heavens, who could be so cruel? Not a single one of them was killed in a normal way. Torture. And his strength is extremely terrifying. More than 200 people, and no one could stop him. Senior Marshal Brother, who did this to you? What kind of deep hatred does he have for Green Dragon Gate to be so vicious? The white-robed man frowned and shook his head. I'm not sure either. The commotion on the mountain has already died down. I don't know if their battle is over. Let's go. We'll go up carefully. Don't be discovered. The person who did this is very likely a demon, who kills without batting an eye. We have to be careful. With Senior Brother here, we don't have to be afraid of demons. Junior Sister said. Besides, who would dare to provoke our spirit immortal sect? Junior Sister, you've had too little experience in the outside world. There's always someone better than you. Not everyone will be afraid of the spirit immortal sect. Junior Brother Tion, activate the Sealing Talisman Array and Invisibility Talisman Array. Let's go up and take a look. Yes, Senior Brother. A young man casually waved his hand, and 2 talisman papers shot out from his sleeve, covering the heads of the 5 people. A moment later, the talisman papers disappeared, and the 5 people who had been there just a moment ago were now invisible. Even the spiritual chi fluctuations had been reduced to the lowest level, almost similar to the spiritual chi emitted by some trees and plants. Let's go up and take a look. The 5 of them quickly rushed to the top of the mountain. When they reached the top of the mountain, they were shocked to find that the scene here was even more horrifying than at the foot of the mountain. More than half of the surrounding buildings had collapsed. In a relatively empty area, corpses were everywhere. Hundreds of people had died tragically on the spot. At this moment, a strange battle was taking place here. A huge rat was madly gnawing on the shoulder of a 5-star cultivator. With one bite, a large piece of flesh was torn off that guy's shoulder. The arm was still there, but half of the shoulder was gone. That guy's right arm seemed to be hanging in the air, but not quite. He let out a heart-wrenching scream. Ah, you, what are you? Why do you still have soul-body fusion? This guy was really too horrifying. Its defense was shockingly high, and the key was that kind of attack method. It could directly attack the main body in the soul-body fusion state. The flesh that the guy bit off was the main body's injury. What was even more horrifying was its fanaticism for food. It seemed that nothing could stop it from eating. Sometimes, even if it was at the risk of being attacked, it would still bite off a part of your body. After being bitten, that guy could still recover his HP crazily. High imitation, high HP, high recovery, terrifying attack method. In just a few minutes, that guy had already killed 8 Hall Masters. The corpses of the 8 Hall Masters were especially horrifying. Only a human rod was left, and even if it was a human rod, it was already an incomplete human rod. Although Lu Chen only let Little Hairy Ball entertain Wu Ho, Little Hairy Ball was very happy to use this strategy on all the other opponents. Vice Sect Leader finally followed in the footsteps of the 8 Hall Masters. Now Little Hairy Ball only had Dragon Gate Wu Ho as his opponent. Suddenly, the person sitting behind Little Hairy Ball, who was resting by the side watching the battle, opened his mouth. Lu Chen looked at Dragon Gate Wu Ho playfully. Hey, do you still think that it is the trash of trash, an ingredient in other people's mouths? Dragon Gate Wu Ho's face was deathly pale. He did not dare to look Little Hairy Ball in the eye. It is. Heaven-swallowing rat. Chapter 733. Senior Brother. That's a heaven-swallowing rat? The junior sister's eyes widened as she looked at the little furball's back in fear. I've seen it before. After all, it's something that only exists in legends. It's said that in front of the heaven-swallowing rat, there are no living things. That strong man should be the Azure Dragon Sect's sect leader. He's actually scared out of his wits. Even if it's not a heaven-swallowing rat, it's definitely not an ordinary battle pet. Is that the red-clothed man's battle pet? That's not right. That man doesn't seem to be in a soul-body fusion state. Why is his battle pet still so strong? Actually, Lucian did not expect the little fur ball to be so strong. If those 4-star and 5-star cultivators were placed in the 4th heaven, they would definitely be super strong. Even if their bodies were injured to a large extent, under everyone's cooperation, the little fur ball was actually able to win so easily. This point was still out of Lucian's expectations. Could it be that the little fur ball only truly uses its power after the 5th heaven? Lucian was unable to find out the little fur ball's attributes from his panel. He only knew that this fellow would eat and sleep every day, sleep and play, play and eat. It seemed that after the 5th heaven, the little fur ball's strength would increase very quickly. Lucian had to re-evaluate this point. In the battle with Wu Ho, Lucian did not need to make a move. Dragon Sect Wu Ho still dared to berate Lucian loudly. But in front of the little fur ball, this fellow's fighting spirit was almost gone. Heaven-swallowing rat. How can you have a heaven-swallowing rat? That's a magical beast that only exists in legends. Wu Ho's hands were trembling as he retreated step by step. Lucian was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He stood up and walked to the little furball's side. Little furball, the last one. Do you remember what I said before? Roar. The gigantic little furball's voice had become much more imposing. With a roar, the little furball's figure flashed, and was already in front of Wu Ho. Damn it, solipsistic. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Spirit pill self-explosion. At this moment, Wu Ho's battle soul state suddenly disappeared, and a muffled sound rang out in the air. Lucian was very familiar with this sound. It was the sound of a battle soul being annihilated. This fellow had not even fought and his battle soul was annihilated? Lucian was shocked. Until Lucian once again looked at Wu Ho, his eyes suddenly widened. At Wu Ho's lower abdomen, a violent surge of spiritual energy suddenly occurred. The degree of intensity was something Lucian had never seen before. Even star annihilation couldn't compare to it. What's going on? Not good, it's self-destruction. For ball. Retreat quickly. Lucian was certain that the power of this explosion was extremely shocking. The little fur ball didn't know how to control spiritual energy. If the explosion of the spirit pill was stronger than the star annihilation, the little fur ball wouldn't be able to block it. It was possible that the other party's self-destruction would directly take their lives. However, little hairy ball's small eyes looked at Wu Ho, whose veins were popping out, and did not listen to Lucian's command. In a blink of an eye, it directly bit off half of Wu Ho's body. With this bite, Wu Ho was left with only the upper half of his body. From his chest to his chest, it was completely swallowed by the little fur ball. The few people who were hiding in the dark felt their scalps go numb. Spirit pill self-destruction. That was a move that did not hesitate to destroy one's body and soul, consigning one's spirit pill to eternal damnation. It could be said that when an immortal cultivator had no other choice, and was extremely unwilling to accept the situation, it was a move that either the fish dies, or the net splits. Those who dared to use this move were definitely ruthless people. Due to the 5th heavenly layer soul-body fusion state, the physical body was still more vulnerable to injuries. Therefore, this move had an extremely strong deterrent effect on the majority of low-level immortal cultivators. Generally speaking, if one faced a person who knew how to self-destruct a spirit pill, it would be best to kill him quickly. Otherwise, the consequences would not be a joke. Although the dragon sect's Wu Ho's level was low, he was after all the sect leader of the sect. Knowing how to self-destruct a spirit pill was not rare. But that huge rat actually swallowed half of his body in one gulp. What the hell was this? No, it can't be. The spirit pill self-destructed, and the heaven-swallowing rat directly swallowed it? Wu Ho did not dare to believe his eyes. Ignoring the intense pain in his body, the heaven-swallowing rat swallowed his spirit pill. However, Wu Ho thought about it, and suddenly laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha, you like to eat, right? Your father's spirit pill is about to self-destruct. If you swallow it, you will be blown to smithereens. I never thought that my dragon sex Wu Ho would actually kill the heaven-swallowing rat. Ha 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 ha, although I did not have a good ending, I did not lose out. At this moment, The small furry group suddenly exploded. Lu Chen, the remaining half of the dragon sect's Wu Ho, and the 5 people of the spirit immortal sect, who were hiding in the dark, all stared at the small furry ball with wide eyes. The sound was a bit muffled. After all, there was a layer of the stomach. The spirit pill exploded in that fellow's stomach. However, the expected scene of being blown to smithereens did not happen. Only the small furry ball opened its mouth and burped. Lu Chen was already in a mess. Damn, that must be the heaven-swallowing rat. The heaven-swallowing rat can swallow everything. Even when its strength is still very weak, the toughness of its digestive system has already reached an unimaginable level. Only the heaven-swallowing rat is able to withstand this explosion. The small furry ball rubbed its stomach and walked towards the dragon sect's Wu Ho as if nothing had happened. At this moment, the dragon sect's Wu Ho was already in despair. He knew that Lu Chen would not let him off so easily. That was why he chose to self-destruct his spirit pill. However, even in his dreams, he did not expect that after the heaven-swallowing rat swallowed his spirit pill, it did not even explode. The current him did not have his spirit pill, and did not even have the strength of a 5-star cultivator. He was no different from an ordinary person. Just as the small furry ball was about to take action, Lu Chen called out to it. The only person who could stop the small furry ball from eating was Lu Chen. The small furry ball turned into a small one, and climbed up Lu Chen's trousers to Lu Chen's shoulder. The bloodthirsty and gluttonous heaven-swallowing rat turned back into a cute little furry ball. Lu Chen walked in front of Wu Ho. Looking at the remaining half of Wu Ho's body, Lu Chen snorted. Looks like I've won. This sentence made Wu Ho's intestines turn green with regret. Even though he did not underestimate his opponent, and went all out, from the Azure Dragon sect, no one dared to take the initiative to attack Lu Chen. They used delaying tactics, and activated the lunar dragon trapping array from the start. All kinds of preparations could be said that his strategy was not wrong at all. He even succeeded in delaying Lu Chen until the soul-body fusion stage was exhausted. Under normal circumstances, he should have won. However, the truth was that things did not go as he wished. The newcomer in front of him did not even understand the strength of the 5th layer. For some lowly commoners, he rushed into the Azure Dragon sect alone. Was he the one who had the last laugh? Why? I had obviously taken every step carefully. I did not underestimate my opponent, and went all out. Why did I still lose? Wu Ho said blankly. Lu Chen looked at Wu Ho indifferently. Do you know why? Wu Ho raised his head and looked at Lu Chen. Lu Chen smiled. It's very simple. Because your opponent is me. Chapter 734. Even if Wu Ho was still alive, the final result of the explosion of the spirit pill was extremely miserable. Unfortunately, Lu Chen did not plan to let him die so easily. Although Lu Chen was not good at killing, he still knew how to give someone a taste of their own medicine. How Wu Ho treated the villagers, Lu Chen already knew. He clawed open Wu Ho's chest. His face as pale as snow almost stuck to Wu Ho's face, and said coldly, Now, I'll let you taste the feelings of those villagers before they die. You deserve it, but they are all innocent. You don't even let the elderly and children go. I want to see how black your heart is. Wu Ho's face twitched. He was sweating profusely. The pain had already made him faint. But Lu Chen continued to inject spirit energy into him, making him 100 times more energetic. Solipsistic. Let me die. I beg you. Aren't you the best at making people beg for death? Lu Chen's eyes were cold. As long as I keep you alive, you won't die anytime soon. The few people hiding in the distance were already scared pale by Lu Chen's cruel methods. What kind of devil is that guy to be so cruel? Along the way, he killed nearly 1,000 people. The Azure Dragon clan is a big immortal sect in this area, but he actually killed them all by himself. Don't be impulsive, he has the heaven-swallowing rat. We still don't know how strong that thing is, but once it's defeated, the consequences will be unimaginable. Quickly leave this place, and report the situation to the sect. Before the eldest senior brother left, he glanced at the red-clothed white-haired man. Solipsistic. Could it be that the fifth layer of heaven has welcomed another great devil? A few minutes later, Lu Chen still took care of Wu Ho's life. He had the heart to kill him, but he did not have the endurance to do so. In the future, I will learn a skill to torture people, especially to take care of these heinous fellows, so that I don't have to do it myself. I still can't do this kind of thing. Lu Chen shook his head. Before coming here, he had clearly planned to torture this fellow until he was half dead. In the end, it was he who couldn't take it anymore. However, Wu Ho was already miserable enough. Although Lu Chen did not understand the self-detonation of spirit pills, but thinking about it, the self-detonation of spirit pills was a skill that crossed levels. The side effects must be huge. It was possible that Lu Chen did not understand it yet. Furthermore, Wu Ho's current state of death was extremely miserable. His lower body was swallowed by the little fur ball, and both of his arms were chopped off by Lu Chen. His chest was pierced by a claw, and he bitterly endured for a few minutes before Lu Chen let him die. When it came to cruelty, Lu Chen should really learn from Furry. Forget it, forget it. I believe that the souls of the dragon hunting village's villagers in heaven should be comforted. When he turned back, Lu Chen discovered that the road was littered with corpses. The Azure Dragon School no longer existed. Since the man had been killed, Lu Chen naturally wouldn't let go of the chance to loot the corpse. Apart from the corpse, there were also some small objects scattered all over the ground. 831 corpses. To pick up all the objects was a huge task. Lu Chen could only call out Little Green, Xiaomin, Rhubarb, and Furry to help. The group of people went from the top of the mountain to the bottom, cleaning up the corpses. Boss, why don't they have any cash withdrawal scrolls on them? Little Green knew that what Lu Chen needed the most was the cash withdrawal scrolls. However, there were all kinds of medicinal ingredients, equipment, materials, and even cultivation methods. It was just that the cash withdrawal scrolls were rarely seen. Yeah, the few outer sect disciples at the bottom of the mountain had dozens of them. There are almost 1,000 people here, and I've only found 2 10-point scrolls. Xiaomin was also very depressed. Lu Chen's situation was similar to theirs. He thought for a while and said, I understand. Boss, do you know why? Lu Chen nodded. Those outer sect disciples should have just been promoted. I remember that after the sect's cultivators rose in star, they would receive additional rewards from the sect. However, according to Wu Ho's character, he probably wouldn't easily give them rewards. Therefore, they had to do some hard work missions, such as running errands in villages that they disdained. Lu Yi immediately understood. She suddenly realized, that makes sense. They just happened to rise in star, so they have cash withdrawal scrolls that they haven't withdrawn yet. On the other hand, those in the sect don't have any cash withdrawal scrolls. Only a few people, such as exchanging things, or having other purposes, would have a few on them. Lu Chen shook his head. Seems like the cash withdrawal scrolls are the most important resource in the fifth layer of heaven. At this moment, Rhubarb, who had been slacking off and refused to search the corpses, returned from God knows where. Upon returning, Rhubarb wagged his tail and swayed in front of Lu Chen, looking like he was asking for credit. Rhubarb, what did you find this time? Woof woof woof. Hiss, Xiaomin looked at Rhubarb angrily. Rhubarb, why are you so arrogant? You actually said that we are all laymen in finding treasures, so you don't want to go with us. On this point, Rhubarb indeed had the qualifications to look down on everyone present. It relied on treasure hunting to come out of the whirlpool world. It was estimated that in Jiotian history, its existence was even rarer than Lu Chen, who broke through the void. Alright, let me take a look at your backpack. Lu Chen checked Rhubarb's backpack. Upon opening the backpack, Lu Chen was first stunned then stunned. Boss, what did Rhubarb find? Cash withdrawal scrolls. Lu Chen said numbly. How many? 20 pieces or 30 pieces? How many? Little Green and Xiaomin were also very curious and asked eagerly. Lu Chen shook his head. There are a total of 5 stacks. 204 pieces with 10 points, 121 pieces with 20 points, 72 pieces with 30 points, 39 pieces with 40 points, and 24 pieces with 50 points. In total, it added up to 9,380 points. Others had only found 20 to 30 points, but rhubarb alone had found 9,000 points. This gap was not just a matter of 1 or 2 levels. No wonder rhubarb was so arrogant. Rhubarb, you are too amazing. Where did you find so many attribute withdrawal scrolls? Xiaomin was completely convinced. If she was looked down on before, then so be it. According to his strength, the contempt just now was already light. More than 9,000 points. This is equivalent to a few million spiritual stones. Speaking of spiritual stones, Luchin noticed that there were 2 items in rhubarb's backpack. One was spiritual stones, and the number on it was 780,000. There was also a letter with the words invitation letter written on it. Luchin hugged rhubarb and rubbed its neck. Rhubarb, did you find their warehouse? Damn rhubarb, you are too strong. You are simply a treasure-hunting god. Little Green and Xiaomin also ran over and ravaged rhubarb. Little Furball jumped on rhubarb's head and jumped up and down, also joining in the fun. This time, Luchin had really wiped out the Azure Dragon sect and obtained a lot of equipment. Almost all of these equipment were obtained by Luchin in the 4th celestial layer. The wilderness of the savage lands gathered almost 90% of the monsters in the 4th celestial layer. There was no equipment that could not be obtained. Only Wu Ho's Chiyu battle axe and 10 other weapons were new. Other than that, there were medicinal herbs, pills, formulas, materials for synthesizing, attribute withdrawal scrolls, spiritual stones. The harvest was so plentiful that Luchin could only store the spoils of war in his own army warehouse. Chapter 735. All the equipment was given to the limitless sword to devour. 10 or so immortal level rare weapons could also increase his stats by 200,000, increasing his battle spirit's strength by another level. Now Luchin only had the extraction scroll in his hands. 9,450 attribute points. Luchin frowned. The Azure Dragon School is still a school, but they only have so many attribute scrolls. It seems that the attribute scrolls are really hard to get. This time, Luchin was not in a hurry to increase his attribute scrolls. Instead, he opened the invitation letter. The invitation letter mentioned that a month later, a school called Heavenly Lake Sacred Mountain would open the school's spirit source, Heavenly Lake, every year, inviting all the surrounding schools to go together. Bathing in the Heavenly Lake can strengthen one's physique. The specific effects vary according to the heavenly might of each person. Some people have very little effect, while some people can have an earth-shattering change. At that time, the school will choose 3 potential newcomers to bathe in the Heavenly Lake together with the school's disciples. If there is someone who can obtain a great opportunity, they can even tie the knot with the school's outstanding disciples. At that time, Schoolmaster Wu Ho can send the school's disciples to enter the Heavenly Lake gathering with the Sacred Mountain's disciples. We will be waiting for your arrival. Luchin looked at the invitation letter. Inside there was a small round wooden plate with the words, Heavenly Lake Gathering, 3rd class invitation, written on it. Heavenly Lake. Luchin thought for a while. He did not know what kind of effects it would have. But Wu Ho put this invitation letter together with his accumulated treasures. It should be extremely important to him. This token did not say that only the Azure Dragon School can go. Then I can take this token and go in. Thinking about this, Luchin burned the invitation letter and kept the token. I don't know what the Heavenly Lake will compete in. Then I will temporarily not add my almost 10,000 attribute points. When the time comes, I will add them according to the situation. This kind of small trick, for a gaming expert, was naturally a piece of cake. At this point, the Battle of the Azure Dragon School had ended perfectly for Luchin. All the Azure Dragon School's disciples were killed, the Azure Dragon School was destroyed, and the storehouse was emptied. Luchin called back Rhubarb and the others, changed back to their original appearance, and brought the little fur ball down the mountain. 3 days later, the Spirit Immortal Sect's elite disciples, Situmu and the others, who had been out on business, had returned to the sect. They were waiting in the assembly hall for an audience with the elders. Not long after, several old men walked in from outside the door. Sect Master Senior Brother. The Azure Dragon School was exterminated in a single night. Everyone in the school, from the sect master to the martial marquis of the dragon sect, to the new disciples of the one-star cultivators, were all cruelly murdered. This matter has already spread throughout the sacred mountain. It is said that those people were all killed by one person. This is really unbelievable. I know. Sect Master Xiaoho took a deep breath. According to what I know, the Azure Dragon sect often kills innocent civilians, so they can't be considered a righteous sect. However, what kind of person is able to raise a sect that has been established for 20 years to the ground in the limited time of the soul-body fusion? Although the strength of the Azure Dragon School is not strong, and their foundation is not stable, the reason why they were able to rise so quickly is because they have the lunar dragon trapping formation. It is extremely profound, and I really cannot think of anyone who can break the lunar dragon trapping formation by themselves. When Situ Mu and the other juniors came back, they said that they have something to report. It seems to be related to the massacre of the Azure Dragon School. When the sect master and the group of elders walked in, Situ Mu and his fellow disciples hurriedly bowed. Sect Master Martial Uncle, Master Martial Uncles, we personally witnessed a fierce beast slaughtering the Azure Dragon School. When Situ Mu opened his mouth, everyone was shocked. What? You all saw it? Yes, we saw it with our own eyes. Situ Mu reported what he had seen that day to his superiors. After a long time, the sect master's face turned serious. The problems in this matter were each more serious than the last. A 5-star cultivator from a foreign race? He can exterminate the Azure Dragon School that also has a 5-star cultivator. Sect Master Martial Uncle, I am not sure if he is from a foreign race. It could also be some kind of transformation of the battle soul. But he is indeed a 5-star cultivator. It doesn't matter whether he is from a foreign race or not. Within the 5th heaven, one's cultivation level is determined. If he is from a race like the demon race, that is naturally strong, it is impossible for him to only be a 5-star cultivator. One of the elders said, the powerhouses of the 4th heavenly layer's 9 camps would almost always be picked up and fought over by the major sections. Since he is a rogue cultivator, it means that he is not doing well in the 4th heavenly layer. Then his battle soul cannot be too strong. In the eyes of these people, the 4th heaven immortal army rank was the standard to measure whether one was doing well or not. However, Luchin did not care about this. He was a 3rd heaven commoner, 4th heaven was still. Maybe it is because his battle soul is strong. The sect master said, you said that his battle soul is the heaven-swallowing rat. Replying to sect master, this disciple has not seen the heaven-swallowing rat. However, my junior brother and junior sister saw it with our own eyes. That large rat swallowed the Azure Dragon School's martial marquis spirit pill that was about to explode, and it was actually fine. This, a 5-star cultivator's spirit pill exploded, and it was eaten into its stomach, and it was fine. An elder's face was full of shock. If it is the heaven-swallowing rat, then it is not surprising. Rumor has it that the heaven-swallowing rat can swallow mountains and rivers, and when it matures, it can even swallow planets and galaxies. Its internal structure cannot be explained according to our understanding. The sect master said thoughtfully, however, the heaven-swallowing rat will not recognize an owner. How can it follow someone else? Situ Mu asked curiously. Why would the heaven-swallowing rat not recognize an owner? The sect master looked at Situ Mu. This child probably wanted to get a battle soul like that, so he asked this question. Mu'er. Situ Mu's master said, the heaven-swallowing rat is an existence that can destroy the entire Jyotian. In reality, it is not a true battle soul, because Jyotian cannot truly restrict it. How can it become an ordinary battle soul in Jyotian? It has its own intelligence since birth. When it grows to a certain stage, everything is its food. Because of this, once the heaven-swallowing rat grows up from its weak infancy, its growth speed is extremely fast, and it is very dangerous. You can think about it from another perspective. If you were a heaven-swallowing rat with intelligence, would you be willing to recognize someone whose growth speed is not as fast as yours as your master? Sitomu thought about it and shook his head. No, even if I would follow him at the beginning, when the difference in strength is too big, it is hard to say who will be whose master. That's right. Let's not talk about whether you can meet the heaven-swallowing rat. Even if you do, you have to meet a young heaven-swallowing rat in order to have a chance of taming it. After taming it, your growth speed will be faster than it. On the other hand, our cultivation is heaven-defying. I have been in the 5th heaven for 32 years, and am only a 3-star cultivator. If you are not someone with great luck, how can you compete with a heaven-swallowing rat that can increase its strength just by eating? Even if we become immortals, there is a limit to our strength. However, the heaven-swallowing rat is different. At least, I don't know if it has a limit. When his master said this, Sitomu finally understood. It was not that the heaven-swallowing rat did not recognize a master, but that no one was qualified to be its master. The elders looked at each other and said, "That large rat might not be a heaven-swallowing rat. That thing only exists in legends." Furthermore, it is impossible for it to recognize a mere 5-star cultivator as its master. Since the sect master had said so, Sitomu did not dare to be certain. After all, he had never seen a real heaven-swallowing rat. At that time, only the dragon sect marquis said to be a heaven-swallowing rat. As for the owner of that large rat, he only called it Little Furball. Chapter 736. Although the relationship between the Green Dragon sect and the Spirit Immortal sect is not close, it is hard to tell if this solipsistic is good or evil. Inform the others to increase the night patrols. If anyone discovers anything, report it immediately. Mu-er, that solipsistic or Lu Chun, might have been attracted to this area by the Heavenly Lake meeting. You have seen him before. Your and Xianer's potential also meet the requirements. This time, you will go with us to the Heavenly Lake meeting. If you see that person, report it to us immediately. Sitomu was overjoyed. The Heavenly Lake meeting was held once a year. Every disciple fought to go. According to the ranking, he and Ruo Xian would not be able to go this year. He did not expect that he would have such an opportunity to go to the Heavenly Lake in advance. Master, I heard that this year's Heavenly Lake meeting is different from the past. The granddaughter of the Heavenly Lake sect master, Yen Ling, will also participate. Is it true? Master stared at Sitomu. Situ Xian quickly shrank his neck and retreated. When he returned to the sect, Sitomu told his junior sister about this. Ruo Xian was so excited that she jumped up and down. Haha, this is great. The Heavenly Lake meeting. It is a place to compete in appearance. There are handsome men and beautiful women everywhere. Senior brother, we are in for a treat. Yes, it is said to be a competition of potential. However, after so many years, I have never heard of anyone who could use the Heavenly Lake to increase their strength. The Heavenly Lake meeting now has become a meeting of charm. Ha ha ha. It would be great if I could find someone in the Heavenly Lake. Sitomu looked into the distance. The clear sky was clear, and there were no clouds. The autumn air was refreshing. It was as if he could see through the sky and see the figure that he had been dreaming about. Yen Ling will also participate. It has been 3 years. I can see her again. If I can bathe in the Heavenly Lake with her, I really can't ask for anything else. Senior brother, you are being love-struck again. Lady Yen Ling is a famous beauty. She is also very strong. I heard that when she was 3 years old, she was brought to the 4th heaven by sect master Yen Sun. She is like the devil race. She started training from the 4th heaven. Her strength is very terrifying. You, don't even think about it. Are you still my junior sister? You. The sects around the sacred mountain had already exchanged information. In the future, if they were to meet someone called Lu Chun, whose battle soul was called solipsistic, they must be careful. Lu Chun sneezed several times as he walked through the forest. Fuck, don't tell me I've caught a cold. Is my 8,000 plus physique fake? Lu Chun rubbed his nose. He didn't know how many people had mentioned his name during this period of time. At this moment, he was walking leisurely in the forest. Rhubarb and Little Fur Ball were fooling around in front of him. These two guys couldn't be more familiar with each other. Lu Chen believed that Little Fur Ball wouldn't eat rhubarb in one bite. Little Green and Xiao Min were looking for medicinal herbs in the surroundings. Whenever Lu Yi wanted to go somewhere to look for medicinal herbs, Lu Chen would personally accompany her. In any case, Lu Chen didn't know what to do now. It was still a month before the Heavenly Lake Convention, so he had plenty of time. He couldn't wait to meet a few so-called dragon species. Killing monsters to level up was also good. Killing monsters to level up should be the battle soul's job, so it would only be effective if he entered the soul-body fusion state. All of this would have to wait until he met a real demon to verify. When he passed by Jinshui County, Lu Chen went to the Immortal Trading District to take a look. The shop was actually closed in the middle of the day. The beautiful owner had a note saying that she was going to participate in the Heavenly Lake Convention and would be back in 1.5 months. The surrounding shops didn't have anything good, but Lu Chen also bought a few low-level cooking recipes and some ingredients on a whim. He wanted to bring them along with him to level up his cooking skill. It was worth mentioning that Lu Chen also bought a fishing skill book, a fishing rod and bait. If he had nothing to do, he wouldn't have to buy cooking ingredients every time. Little brother, you bought fishing gear. Do you want to buy this fashion set as well? Lu Chen was surprised. Boss, I've seen many salespeople, but you're the first salesperson to buy fishing gear and promote fashion. No, my fashion set is different. Look at my fisherman's fashion set. It can increase the probability of catching rare fish. Oh, there's such an attribute. Lu Chen was shocked. His fashion set only added a few hundred attribute points, plus some battle buffs, but they were all small ones. The boss actually had something that increased fishing success rate? Let me see. Lonely Shadow Fishing, fashion set. When fishing, increase the probability of big fish appearing by 50%. Increase the probability of rare fish appearing by 50%. Damn, increase it by 50%? Yes, this is the fashion set I've seen that can increase a profession's stats the most. The boss was very excited. Let me tell you, when you fish with this set, at least one of the 2 fishing rods will have a big fish, and a rare fish too. With the current market, rare fish aren't cheap. Lu Chen nodded. Then how much is it? 5,000. Actually, this price is really not expensive. If you can get a top ingredient like the sea dragon carp, one fish can be sold for more than 200 spirit stones. You can break even with 25 fish, and the rest will be profit. Lu Chen shook his head. Boss, you're not a kind person. If you really want to make money like this, why don't you just use it yourself? Why are you still selling fishing gear? No matter how good these things are, how much money can you make? Hey little brother, the attributes of this fashion set are really strong. No matter how cheap it is, I don't want to sell it. How about this? I'll take the 2,000 spirit stones. Look, I even bought your best fishing rod. So much bait, right? A fishing fashion set. Look at it, it's ugly. If I didn't want to learn how to fish, you'd probably have to wear it yourself. 2,000. The boss felt his heart ache. This guy bargained for half the price, and even took a piece of meat. He didn't make much from the fishing gear, only a few dozen spirit stones in total. If you don't want to sell it, then forget it. The clothes are still too ugly. Boss, pay the bill. Seeing that the customer was about to leave, the boss finally gave in. Okay, I'll give you the 2,000 spirit stones. Hey, the attributes are so strong, but why does it have to be for fishing? Even if it's for mining, with these attributes, I can sell it for 10,000 spirit stones. 2,000 spirit stones, a lonely figure fishing. When he was about to leave Jinshui County, Lu Chen found a notice on the bulletin board next to the county. Today, an unknown expert came to the Sacred Mountain area and massacred the Azure Dragon School a few days ago. This person wore a red gown, had long white hair, and a pair of hairy ears on his head. Lu Chen's eyes widened. This matter had spread faster than him, and had already reached Jinshui County one step ahead of him? If that's the case, he believed that many cultivators would know about him. No wonder the boss kept staring at his wild blood sword god fashion set. The surrounding people who were looking at the bulletin board were already sizing up Lu Chen. After all, only Lu Chen had such a flashy color like red. Lu Chen pretended to squeeze out of the crowd and hurriedly disappeared into the crowd. Coming back to the wilderness, Lu Chen shook his head and sighed. Damn it, I just came to the 5th layer of heaven, and I'm famous again. Chapter 737. After thinking about it, Lu Chen spent 1,000 points on the attribute scroll and raised his star level to 7 stars. Promoted to 6 stars Wild Cultivator. You have passed the novice stage. You will no longer receive the reward of the attribute scroll. Rank after 10 million. Promoted to 7 stars Wild Cultivator. Rank after 10 million. Lu Chen almost vomited blood. The reward was gone. And his ranking did not change. So what if the reward was gone? Everyone was the same anyway, so it was not a loss. It seems that the rank of 10 million is a dividing line. The strong will probably pass the early stage of 1,000 points of spiritual energy for 1 star very quickly. That's why my ranking did not change even after I rose 2 stars. The polarization of the 5th celestial layer is quite obvious. The weak will find it hard to advance in the low star level, while the strong will probably gather in the top 10 million. I wonder when the next qualitative change will be. Now that he had leveled up to a 7-star Wild Cultivator and changed into the new lone fishing outfit, at least people wouldn't associate him with the massacre of the Azure Dragon sect. There was still a long way to go before reaching the Heavenly Lake. Lu Chen was not in a hurry. He traveled during the day and camped at night. He would always find some small rivers and streams to camp. The water in the rivers and streams could be drunk directly. There were also many wild vegetables and fruits around. After leisurely passing for half a month, Lu Chen's cooking skill rose to 4 stars. His fishing skill improved rapidly, surpassing his cooking skill and reaching 6 stars. This was mostly due to the lonely fishing outfit. It greatly increased the success rate of fishing and shortened the fishing time. This allowed him to level up so quickly. On a certain day after half a month, Lu Chen passed by a large lake. Although it was still early, he could not help but stop when he saw the lake. I wonder if there are any big fish here. Little green Xiaomin, let's camp here for a few days. I will increase my fishing level again. Boss, there are still 5 days to reach the Heavenly Lake. Since we have enough time, we can also look for herbs nearby. I feel that there should be many herbs nearby. Louis also liked this place very much. Since that was the case, everyone set up a campsite and got busy with the campfire. Lu Chen sat alone on a protruding rock in the middle of the river fishing. Not long after, the bobber began to move. Lu Chen casually pulled it and was immediately stunned. The thing below seemed to be very strong. It's a big fish. Lu Chen was suddenly energized. Ha ha ha. I've never met such a strong fish before. The fishing rod that Lu Chen bought was the best in the shop. The boss said that as long as one's skills were good enough, they could catch any fish. Lu Chen was full of confidence. The two sides, one on the shore and one underwater, fought back and forth for more than 10 minutes. Lu Chen found that his stamina was almost exhausted. Damn, I have a physique of 8,600, and I can't beat a fish like you? Don't force me. The guy underwater seemed to be playing with Lu Chen. He swam around underwater, looking very energetic. Lu Chen exclaimed, "Not good. This fellow is not something that can be fished up by a 6-star fisherman. Furball, come and help me." From afar, little Furball scurried out of nowhere. The two of them held on tightly to their intuition and were almost dragged into the water by that fellow. This daddy doesn't believe it. Lu Chen's stubbornness flared up. Soul body is one. Xiao Min, who was boiling water, looked at Lu Chen in astonishment. It can't be right. You even use soul body as one for a fish? This time Lu Chen's stamina soared. However, the fellow underwater also seemed to be getting serious and started a tug-of-war with Lu Chen. You're still not coming up? Fishing required patience. One could not use brute force all of a sudden. Otherwise, the fishing rod would break and the fish would escape. Lu Chen could only drag it out with this fellow. The sun set in the west and night fell. Lu Chen was still holding on to the fishing rod. The fishing rod had already been bent into a bow. If not for the fact that it was a top-grade fishing rod, it would have broken long ago. It's already been more than 2 hours. Lu Chen was really worried that the fishing rod would break. Half an hour later, the other party's strength was finally exhausted. Lu Chen instantly felt the pressure on him decrease sharply, and he began to reel in the line slowly. Not long later, the hook was pulled out of the water. He saw a golden carp hanging on the hook. Its body was weak and feeble. It flopped twice and hung there obediently. It can't be such a small one. Why is it so strong? Lu Chen kept the fishing rod and untied the little goldfish. Obtained top-grade dragon species. See overturning golden dragon carp can be cultivated. This is a dragon species? Lu Chen looked at the little carp in astonishment. The fellow's mouth was opening and closing, and it seemed to be lacking in oxygen. Lu Chen pondered for a moment and took a bucket of water, keeping it in temporarily. If the fish was dead, it would probably taste worse when cooked. Back in the water, the golden dragon carp regained its strength and swam back and forth in the water. "Let me go." A small voice suddenly sounded, startling Lu Chen. It can't be. Are you talking? Yes, it's me. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Little Fur Ball and Rhubarb couldn't speak, but this fellow spoke directly in human language. What exactly are you? In your eyes, I should be a dragon species monster. What exactly is a dragon species monster? You're so powerful, but you don't even know this. Dragon species monsters are monsters in this world. Don't you often get materials from monsters when you refine weapons, refine medicine, and train battle pets? Lu Chen blinked his eyes. I really don't know. I've been wandering around in this wilderness for almost a month, and you're the first dragon species monster I've met. In the end, you're still a fish. Speaking of which, do you have any treasures on you? I don't. Lu Chen smirked. You're lying to me. You're a top-grade dragon species monster, which means that the things on you must be even more precious. Let me go. I just sneaked out to play. I won't dare to trick you in the future. Lu Chen shook his head. This little thing's pitiful look really softened his heart. The key was that the carp had always been communicating with him. Its golden scales looked gorgeous. It was such a pity to kill such a small fish. Thinking of this, Lu Chen tilted the bucket and poured it directly into the lake. Go. I don't need your materials. Don't be so playful in the future. If you meet a powerful person, you're finished. The little carp was not far from the lake. It poked its head out and looked at Lu Chen in surprise. You're really letting me go? You're already in the water. Could it be a fake? You even wasted my soul and body fusion. Lu Chen looked at the little golden carp. You can be in a stalemate with my battle soul for such a long time, and your growth rate is very low. In the future, you might really be able to become a carp that leaps over the dragon gate. Cultivate well. The little golden carp's big eyes turned and suddenly spat out a blue bead from its mouth. You didn't meet any monsters on the way because of the guy beside you, but I think it's very playful. It might not be able to protect you all the time. Without the soul and body fusion, you'll be in danger. This is for you. Help me protect you. After saying that, the little carp dived into the lake, and its golden figure gradually swam further and further away in the lake until it disappeared. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.